Well, greetings and blessings, my dear friends. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your associates will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And with that, greetings, everybody. Millie Cow, it's great to see you. And Teresa, as always. And, I missed somebody up top. Big Al is hanging out up there, I saw. And, and David Castle, we were all sending out thoughts to you the other day and making sure, and you showed up like a day or two later. We were talking about you in a good way. And Chloe, if you're still in the background, it's all right. Just going back up and looking in the chat room there. Okay. So I hope everybody's doing as well as can be expected under the circumstances of, the craziness on this planet. And talking with people on the phone about certain subjects and things like that. Ian, how are you? Good to see you. Different topics come up, and when I speak to people on the phone or in person or something, I know that there is a level of, I will say, intimacy, in that there are things that I may discuss on a personal basis that I have not shared in a video. Now, some of the things I've shared in a video has been a ways back. So in my contemplation of subjects, and I'm always asking the universe, what seems to be appropriate? What subject needs to be discussed that will help out the community? Are there questions in the universe somebody's asking? And somebody was egging me on earlier, and I'll say this. Yes, I will pull some cards before the night is over. Somebody was going, before I started this, they were going, I hope he pulls the card. I don't know who you are. It's okay. I got the book ready and the cards are right there. So yes, I'll pull some cards later. Now, the subject of angels has lots of different variations from how you were raised. And so what our vision of an angel is. Now, there are people who say, well, there's archangels and this angel and that angel and blah, blah, blah. All right. This is what I know to be true for me. Okay. And I take things still with a grain of salt. And as much as I have been with the Catholic Church and all these other things, I still take things with a grain of salt. Like, well, the archangels are all responsible for this, and the cherubs, they all did this. And wait a minute. That's what other people said. So I reserve my opinion on, okay, there's seraphim and, this one, and there's the archangels and, okay. I'm not even going to discuss that because it's like, very seriously, are you in the army? Yeah. Does it matter what rank you are? No. Did somebody say, are you a colonel in the army? Or are you a buck private? They just say, you're in the army, right? So I consider it like that. If it's an angel, then it's the army, okay? Or the Navy, or the Marines altogether, But it's the idea that if you're working for the cause, which is, let's get rid of some of these bad, evil, wicked, mean, and nasty folks and try to rearrange their thinking a little bit to not be so mean, bad, and nasty, Slaughter for the sake of slaughter is just wrong in all realms, okay? And the controlling the planet with, what's going on with our mask and everything, it's the mask of the Red Death. They're trying to convince you, read Edgar Allan Poe's Mask of the Red Death, and then see if you see any similar things. But anyway, So as far as angels go, now I've got this little guardian angel that sits nearby, right? And I got this to say, I understand. And what she's holding is a butterfly open like this. Okay. She's holding a butterfly. So for all of those of you who say, what's she holding? It's a butterfly. Now, it's one of these things that you can paint. And I haven't painted it because I'm like, this is just a representation of an angel. Now, hear what I said. This is a representation of what an angel might look like. Now, do angels really look like this? I'm not sure. Okay. And so when we go into this, as we discuss this, it brought up as part of the topic of discussion in that if we have a vision, is that a projection of that person, sort of like a hologram 3D, thingy, or are they really there? And so that's for later on in the discussion. But so here's a representation. So now, like for me, angels come in various sizes and, with wings, without wings. And Pamela, it is good to see you. Been sending quiet prayers out to you. Hi, Ian. David Castle, Teresa, and Pamela. Wondering just how many are watching. Lurking makes the... Oh, I got you. Well, we're all here. And whether you participate, hey, Al, and whether or not you participate, in the live chat, if you're hanging out in the background, we love you. We do. And Pamela, I got a message or something from you the other day, and I was like, I kind of been wondering if you're all right out there. So, my prayers are still heading your direction. It's just a little weird where they're going, but they're still sent to you. maybe the prayers are have to go to the post office first. Who knows? But anyway, a little joke there. But I want to stay on track, so I'm going to ignore the chat, okay? So I don't interrupt myself. All right, you're important to me, you know that. But so now with angels, this is a perception, and one could say, well, this is a Christian, representation of an angel. But if you go through history and go through some things, and there are beings that were winged beings, even on cave walls a long time ago, okay, by people who were supposed to be stupid. Well, that's an insect. No, it's not. It's an angel. It's the best they could do with a piece of charcoal, on a cave wall. So, but the idea, though, that what does this matter in the long run? Well, what matters is this. And this brings up the second name in the in the title of this, the Karistus. Okay, angels are the Karistus. Okay, now it's sort of like the army. Now, does every angel have wings, or does this? Let's not worry about that. Okay, because they're how do I put this? And I don't mean to be, the folks in the army will get this, or who've been in the armed forces. Grunts are needed, folks on the ground who just do little work, and that's where the third thing in the title of this video is the silent 72 plus. I committed myself years ago. I was committed many years ago as well. And when I got out, I saw the light, so to speak. But in having the visions that I'll talk about in a bit, but in having the vision that kicked me in the ass that started me to do these videos. And it was because I was a chicken shit. Quite frankly, I was scared to death to talk about this. And I first started talking about politics and this and that. And then I got another kick in the pants, and they said, no, you have got to talk about spiritualism. You got to talk about this thing and that thing, and we got to disprove this and that. And so in my own learning process, I've had to understand some things, that some of the things that I perceived as a young Catholic boy and an altar boy and all that kind of stuff, growing up in the 60s, that whatever they were, the name at the time, okay, was Mary. All right. To me, it's not been the Blessed Virgin. It's just been Mother Mary. Okay. Now, at Most Holy Redeemer Church, which is now torn down, which is, I think, is a crime in itself. The church says once the ground is consecrated, it can't be unconsecrated. Although they've been tearing down churches left and right and selling the property. Just saying, But they had this statue that was so lifelike of the Virgin Mary. Now, there were other statues in the church, but this one glowed. Now, here's the thing. There was a similar statue of Mary in the other church, which is torn down, that was done in the old Greek Orthodox style. The Byzantine ceilings and the paintings, this place was gorgeous, but it was shrunk. It was like in miniature. It had high steeples and a bell tower, and it was gorgeous, and they tore it down. But while I was there as getting my first communion, I saw Mother Mary there glowing. And I even got in trouble because I turned around to go, look, do you folks see what I'm seeing? I'm 7 years old, right? Getting my first communion, sitting in the rows, and I've got there somewhere there's pictures of me in my little white uniform at first communion. But that was my first quote, Mother Mary. Now later, I just, nobody else saw what I did. So, but later on, when I was in MHR, I was praying to Mother Mary. I was having issues. I was with religion. I want to know things. I'm having blah, blah, blah. And so, after school, I would go into the church and pray by myself. And not every time, but there were times when there was a glow, like an aura around the statue. And the speaking wasn't, she spoke to me. I could just hear it. Okay. And so I would look around in the church, none of the other statues did it. None of there's Jesus hanging on a cross and with blood dripping in the crown and really graphic. Nothing ever else was like that, but this statue. Now, I've become to disbelieve in myself that what I was actually seeing was real. So when I was age 11-ish, we'll just keep it at 11. I was down the road from where we lived, and at the time it was there were several big fields that they had put in. There's houses there now, but back then they had lots, but nobody was building. So as kids, we'd play down in the woods. Well, there was this clearing down there, so I would go down there as a youngin', and of course I was in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and all that kind of thing. So. But I would go down there, and I'm sitting on the edge of this clearing, and I have it's not a very big clearing, maybe 20 feet in diameter, right? And there's tall grass over my head when I'm sitting down. Just is. So you can't see me sitting there if you were, 10 feet away. So I'm sitting on the edge of this clearing, and a rabbit walks in, and I'm sitting with my feet out in front of me, right? And so a rabbit walks in and sits down here at this one. And the rabbit walks in a few minutes later and sits down. I ain't moving because the rabbits are sitting there. And then Mary appears to me there in the clearing. And that was at age 11. And that was without any kind of statue or anything like that, or any kind of prompting, right? So with this quote vision, she's telling me that I'm telling you now that in the future, I'm going to ask you to do some things. I'm going to ask you to say some things, and there are going to be people who hate you. Your family's going to turn on you. And she warned me of all these things at 11, right? So I'm like, well, holy crap, I got a lot to look forward to, eh? So that's, that was like the big kick, right? So since then, there were like glimpses. And I was afraid to think about it because, she laid some heavy shit on me at the age of 11. So now, do I believe this or don't I believe? Now, as a Catholic, I must believe. I never said a word to anybody about it because I was like, this is my secret. If it ain't true, and I'm making this up, then I'm going to know. And so I kept it quiet for so long. A lot of my family members didn't even know until recently, as far as in time. And I was like, well, why didn't you say something about you all think I'm crazy already. I'm going to tell you about having these scenes and conversations with Mother Mary all these years, and you're really going to send me to the loony bin. I've already been there, don't want to go back. So but then I got the kick in the butt that says, no, you got to talk about this because there are other people out there who need to hear it, whether they believe it or not. So I've had a lot of people over the years go, oh, you and Mother Mary, it's all about Catholic this and Catholic that. It really, really isn't. It's more about the mother of things. Because what I had was, my mother had to adopt me out when I was 3.5 by my Uncle Arnie up there, who I call Pops. And he was a saint. He took me and my the youngest sister in and fed us and kept us, and God bless him. And it was his birthday on the 19th, and I was going to do a little tribute to him, and I didn't. So we'll just say, Arnie, thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed on us kids. And, and thank you. He's been passed now many years, since 1999. So 20 years. But in that, though, in the religious part of it, seeing Mother Mary, there was no religion in it. It wasn't like you should go to church, where other people were like, ooh, now she did say, say the rosary on my behalf. And so I've had a rosary for many years, and there are times when the feeling will come over me, and I'll be out in the garden working or something, and I'll just do the rosary in my head. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Now, I considered that. I'm not into doing prayers, and I considered that prayer, and I thought, I couldn't really find anything truly in there except the reference to God. And I mean creator, not the God in the Bible. I mean creator God, because the Mother Mary essence to me is of all motherhood. Okay. Now, if she is with the angels, okay, so that means that she is also, in my belief, nobody has said this directly, is also part of the Karistus group. Okay. That is a group of beings who have been coming to this planet for a long, long, long time. Okay. Native Americans, Native peoples all around the planet have, there are drawings and symbols that relate to these folks that are ancient. Okay. Now, we know, if those of us who have been doing any peeking around in UFO chronicles or this or that over the years, we need to understand, listen, there is a greater war going on here. And in the religious sense, it's the war in heaven. It's the war of the angels. It's, well, in a lot of ways, you're dadgum right. Now, so referring to Dante, now I make this disclaimer always. I'm not I don't feel like I have any kind of inside information about Dante and the DSAHK channel, which has been turned to private. So it has gone dark before, and there are people out there. That's why I'm doing a 72 plus. He's gone dark before. There's a little leakage out here on other channels and things. And there's a lot going on right now. And for those folks of us who've been following Dante and have had our own visions, if you will, or our Mother Mary messages or higher self, whatever, we know there is a great big war going on. And we've seen it in the sky. You can look at the LASCO C2 and C3 cameras of the sun, and those little scratches that are going by all the time, those are spaceships. Those things are huge. And people are like, well, where's the proof? I've in just several frames over a couple of hours, I count like 50. And they're like hauling butt across the sun and this and that. Oh. Listen, my friends, there is a lot more going on in this universe than what people are just, worried about who's going to win the election. We got folks up there who are like, literally want to blow this planet and turn it into another asteroid belt, and people are worrying about this dumb shit down here. Not to say that it's not important, but there are folks that are fighting on a much higher level than a lot of us are even considering. Now, I have considered this for quite some time now. So, and what I have been getting over the years is confirmation. So, do I believe what Dante says? A lot of it I do because I've seen my own proof. Okay. I've watched a UFO out here out my window, and then about a week later, he posted this short little video that was exactly what I've been looking at for the last 2 or 3 years down here out of the South. And it just so happens to be from the trajectory and everything, it's over in the Big Bend area over water. There's nothing out there that I know of except the flats of Florida. But anyway, so how does the angels and Mary fit into the Karistus? Because I think they're all part of the same group. Now, I'm not positive about the Mary thing, but the angels are the Karistus. Now, I was in having a conversation today, and it popped back out. It's like, let's just think about this for a minute. Let's go back into history. We're going to talk about the Christians right now. Where did they come up with that Jesus is the Christ? Where did they get the Christ from? Did that show up anywhere? Is that written in some kind of Sanskrit somewhere? Christ, the Christ, Jesus is the Christ. Where'd they come up with the Christ part? Could it be that it's Karistus? You say, well, where's the proof in that? Come on, CH to K or K to CH. Come on, they've been fooling with words and messages, down through the ages. So you want to believe that the Christus exists. If you're a Christian, you believe that, yeah. Okay, where did they get who got the idea of the Christ? From the Karistus, the sign of the cross. This, you can't see me, but I got my arms up like this. So, several years ago, I'm maybe skipping around a little bit, but I want to give a little bit of back history that I think it's appropriate. Now, several years ago, when I was in a funk, they threw me in the mental hospital. My family deserted me and left me down here having grand mal seizures and to fend for myself, which I've gotten over and doing better. Thank you very much. Oh, and thank you all for the prayers and concern about my leg. If I'm doing all right, it's still sore, but I'm good. Thank you. I'm very glad that it wasn't worse. But it's not broken, but I do think I scratched the bone really good. But anyway, so a couple of years ago when I was in my funk, and I really meant it, I said, I'm down here by myself. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm literally crying out to the universe, what is it that you want me to do? And so in one of my quote Christian moments, reading the Bible and trying to understand the universe, it was that, and it was sort of my belief. I believe in the devil, that it exists because people believe that he exists. And is there an actual devil? Well, no, there's some really nasty beings out there, and we could call him the devil, or we could call him these things. And you know me, I don't try to give things names because then that gives them power. So I don't talk about the devil, just the bad guys, the evil things, them things out there that, lurk in the dark that want to hurt you. Some of them lurk in the broad daylight. But so I've had this come to Jesus moment where I said, listen, I promise that whatever the rest of my life is, now this has been about 5 years ago, I promised that I am a warrior for God, for Christ, for the Creator. I am a warrior. Whatever it is, if it means having conversations or helping, I am a warrior for Christ, because there, and it could be Buddha, but it was in my thought, and this was before I really understood Dante, okay? I had already made up my decision through my Catholic Christian upbringing that I was making this promise. I am a warrior. I'll go down swinging for the right side. I'm committed 100% at this time in my life. If I could get up and walk again, I'm still going to be that warrior. Okay. So I made the commitment. I mean, I was like, I stuck with it, and I'm still here in that, and it's gotten along stronger. So, but in that, I have since been visited and have since had trials and tribulations to prove or maybe make sure that I meant what I was saying. Are you truly a warrior? Are you really going to stand up to this? Are you going to speak to this? Or are you going to be a chicken and hide behind a tree? And I realized that I'd been hiding behind a tree. That's the reason for this video. I've been hiding behind a tree. So, and I'm trying to condense many years of thoughts, visions, things in between. Okay. But the angels are the Karistus. And if Mary is tied in with them, now this Mary goes back to the person who had a name back in the day. Okay. Now this entity, Mary, is the reincarnation of the female version of, say, Jesus, or so there's male and there's female. And sometimes it could be possible that the female goes into a male or vice versa. But mostly, it's that, it's the energy of the person who takes over. And or the reincarnation. Now, for those of you who say, well, that's just a bunch of bull and blah blah blah. Well, look, okay, the Buddhists believe in reincarnation. There's a lot of different religions and places and things, and a lot of us have had these deja vu moments where, listen, I don't know how I learned how to do this, but I know how to do it. So, but is it a Jesus thing, or is it, oh my God, is it Buddha? It's the universe. Now, Edgar Casey spoke about this at great length in many of his, sessions that he did. And I've had over 20 brain injuries, concussions. Okay. And some of them put me in the hospital for weeks on end. Okay. So the fact that I can have a conversation, but I distract easily. Johan, how you doing? Max, hi there. Scratch, good to see you. Now I can't look anymore over there. But anyway, but going on with this, after I made up my mind, so I wasn't thinking about going to the dark side, okay? But at the time, I was kind of fooling around still with some Wiccan things and a little bit of spell things, not so much as to wish good upon a place or to put a sigil down or something. And it's like, then I found out about some sigils and I went through that whole thing, but it was all in the process of learning that brings me to this point. And I got more information about, are angels real? Well, Dante can pretty much prove that in a lot of ways if you are willing to accept it. And you go, well, that's a fake video. Okay. So, but in that, when you say I'm going to have faith, so in that, I made the promise before I really understood Dante's channel and his message that I had already made up my mind that I was working for the good. But then when I said, I'm a warrior. I'm that. Here I am. I'm, no more pussyfooting around from my point of view. So whatever little bit of lacking I might have had, well, I don't know if I should do this, blah, blah, blah. What do people think? No, you got to take the step. You got to do it. You got to become the preacher or shut up. And not that I'm trying to preach, but in a way it is, so, but in that, through my messages, I'm still learning to be the communicator. It's not about who Mary is in the Christian sense. It's what does she represent? So people will say, well, okay, and all the conversations I've had about, well, Mary does this and that. Listen, she represented this kind, warm, motherly figure. Oh, and what I was going to say, I was adopted by my uncle at the age of 3.5. So I'd been snatched away from my mother. My adopted mother just wasn't the huggy-feely type, okay? So, and because my mother was my aunt, So they kept this secret until both of them were dead. The whole family was dead. Then we found out we had another brother who came after my sister Lynn. Oh, the things that were hidden. So I knew that this bond had been broken. So all my life I've been looking for this mother figure. So in my communicating with, there's this one, there's Jesus, there now here's Mary. She filled me with warmth and comfort. Okay, when I just wanted to go off the rails because I couldn't understand these things and stuff, she was that calming force that said, "It's okay, we got this." But calm down, And she listened, and the words that came back were feelings of warmth and kindness. And, now here's the thing. Was it really Mother Mary, or was it an angel that was there I'm talking back when I was in the church, or was it a representation of her? Now I can answer that this way. Over the many years since I was 7, and I just turned 68 yesterday, so 61 years, right? It's still the same essence. It's like when I know that grandma's around, she comes less than before, but there was this rose water that she wore. And when Granny comes, I smell rose water, and it's like, oh, Granny's here, because we had this psychic connection before she passed, And so, and I've had these little fleeting moments of Sister Helene. And I'll talk about my most recent well, it wasn't a vision because they appeared. So, and there's discrepancy as well. Were they actually here, or were there just, was there just energy sitting over there? And I'm building up to that, in that I could tell all these years, because it is the same energy. It's still the same essence. All right. And how do you say that? Well, if you've heard, you talk to people on the telephone, you get used to their voice. Now, being that I was a sound mixer and all that, and being on the radio, I can identify voices. Like I can tell if there's a character that's is doing a cartoon, for example, and I'll go, oh, that's such and such. He's doing the voice of that character. Oh no, you're full of, you're full of it, Dave. And then later on, when the credits come up, they go, son, but you were right. So I have this uncanny ability, and I used to do it like name that tune, man, 3 or 4 notes, and but anyway. So in that, it's like the voice. It's it's this person's voice on the other end. And without that, all I have to do is go, hello, and you go, oh, this is Umpty Scrunch, without looking at the, who's calling kind of thing. You get used to their voice. So you say, well, how do you know who it is? Well, after 61 years or so, 61 years, we'll leave it there, of talking on the phone, you go, that's them, right? So how do I know? It's that feeling. Now, I know there are other types of feelings when your granny's nearby, or maybe it was a close friend, a week or so ago-ish, I felt like Brian was walking through the house, and I kept looking over to see him, and the dog was even kind of like looking up like there was somebody here. But could I prove that Brian was here? It was really strong. I even talked about it in the video that I did. But to this point of Karistus, stay on topic here. I'm telling you this because these are my experiences and they have happened to me. And so I have to extrapolate what I myself have experienced. Now, there are people who, seen Mother Mary and this and that, and I don't want any attention about this. But I realize that other people have seen or felt a similar type of energy, and I think that needs to be discussed. So, although I have discussed this in the past, I'm in a little bit more detail than I've ever been, and I'm trying to keep it condensed so that I can expound upon this later on. Anyway, that's why I'm not walking. Intuitive empath. Hi, David Castle, Johan. Okay, Teresa. Essence experience. Right. agreed. So it's like I've talked to folks before, and when in the shaman training, the shamans always say, listen to your spirit guide, not to somebody else's. So there are folks out there who want to channel other people or other energies, and I'm highly against that. But can you have a chat with another energy? Yeah, but it doesn't mean you have to allow them in. There's a big difference. So my spirit guide is always the monitor, mediator. So I can ask questions, hear the other entity, like listening through a microphone from my own spirit guide. And I'll go, yeah, well, this is sort of true. And sometimes my spirit guide, my guardian angel, if you will, says, well, now that's his opinion. And I'm like, what? So it's complicated in a lot of ways, but so I'm against anybody allowing any entity in, but picking them up and listening to them, that's a whole nother ballyhoo, right? So, but listen to your spirit guide. That's your guardian angel. And in a lot of religions and so forth, and spiritual beliefs is that we are connected to the universe, and somehow one of our ancestors are there, grandmother, grandfather, on so many levels around the world for centuries and years have been about listening to grandmother, grandfather, the elders. So these are the angels. These are these people. So they are the Karistus. They are from the good entities, all right? We consider them angels and higher spiritual beings. Some people call them gods. They don't look at it that way, okay? It's human beings that are taught to look at angels as well. You're always hearing me talk about the Bible. And, in the last chapter 20, 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there, when the angel appears before John, and John's on his hands and knees, and it happens twice. And the angel says both times, get up, my brother, for you are as I am. We are the same. And so, and it says right in the beginning of the Bible, look at the beginning and look at the end, and the rest doesn't really matter in so many senses, in that it says we are made in the image and likeness of God. So that's our soul beings. And it has nothing to do with our appearance out here. And Edgar Casey explained this. I skipped off of Edgar, and I need to come back about that. But he says we all have a chance. We all have the opportunity to take our soul contract. And, if we, as a spirit being, say, okay, here you go, George, we got these people down here. You want to go? This is what their life is supposed to look like. Now it can alter and it's up to you, but, basically this is the plan. You want to go? Yes or no? And you accept, and say, well, okay, here I go. That's why you hear me say sometimes, I wish I'd have read the fine print. But things and circumstances happen along the way. So with that said, though, how much do we believe? So you have to believe it in yourself. So who is Mother Mary then? She is a female representation of the mother, I say, in us all. Men should have compassion. Well, is it a fatherly compassion, or is it more of a motherly, like, come here, my daughter or son, give me a hug, you were hurt. And there's this warmth and feeling versus, okay, son, give me a hug. And that's, sort of the cold hug, But, anyway, a family member that I was trying to depend upon did not do the huggy thing. I'm going to not mention names, or anyway, that's enough. So I've been lacking that in my life, which really screwed me up, and looking for that female hug, if you will. When I finally realized that it was already there and I'd had it all along, meaning the mother essence, which in this case was Mary to me, because of the Christian religious thing, but her name could have been anything else. It could have been Roberta, or Bobby, or Bobby Joe, But and for a decent stretch of time before I had my last quote visit here in the house, I was visited physically by this entity that used to drive to work with me. and she called herself White Dove of the Cherokee Nation. Now, I do believe it was a reincarnation, if you will, of one of my grandmothers, great grandmothers on the Lee side of the family, and that goes up into the Virginias and Kentucky and up in there. And she literally sat in the truck with me. I could look over and see her form and see her turn and her face, and it was really. Then I realized after I made that pact, with God, so to speak, as a warrior for Christ, I realized I was making the pact with the Karistus. Okay, does that make sense? So the Christus is the Christ representation. These are the folks that are working on trying to save the planet, even though some of these people don't give a shit. We still care. And regardless of what people think of me and however, I will still say, I love you still, and I still pray for your enlightenment, whatever it may become. Now, there are some folks and there are some of us that are really kind of worried about it, have seemed to like slip over to the dark side. They're trying to use magic as shortcuts, and they're still talking about sigils and things like that. And my friends, the Mother Mary message, if you will, is please don't do that. Stay away from things you don't understand. And if you're wasting time to try to understand those things, you're missing the point on the grander scale that all you need to do is believe and connect. Make sure your spirit guide is telling the truth, and make them prove it to you, kind of thing. I've told you over several videos, like, all right, if you say this is true, then I want proof in the next few days or a week or so. And sometimes the message will show up in a commercial or on a YouTube video or on the news, or something will show up to confirm that which they gave me, if you will. And I go, so that information must be good then. I got that 2 days early, kind of thing. So anyway, so this is how you and your higher self learn how to interact in this reality. So, but you have to trust your spirit guide. Don't go messing around and worrying about anybody else. You get yours. That's the message she's like sending down now, and from the other angels as well, that you got to stick with just one. Now, there are a lot of help out there. And when you connect with one, it's a network, right? It's the league of like-minded beings. So it is that higher soul tribe, but you got to believe, and you go, well, I kind of understand. I think I get it. And I went that way for a long time. And I was 98.9% there. And it was that 1 point something percent that I was hesitant on. And when I finally gave it 100%, it was like, holy crap, a whole lot more understanding just showed up without any kind of, it was like, okay, now that you agreed 100%, now that means you must believe this and this and this and this. And then all of a sudden, those things that I thought were resonated with me. And in ways that was a good resonance. It gives me the courage to get online and talk about this, because they tell me it's important to have these discussions for other people. Okay, so moving on with this. So the Mother Mary thing is the mother essence. Call it Mother Goddess, call it Gaia. Now, I personally believe that the Mother Mary essence of this is not the same as Gaia. Okay. I think there are two separate essences, because I've been in the woods, I've been in the wilderness, I've had fairies come and visit me and show me the way home, and without hitting a log in the middle of the night, in the fog, and those are the things that prove to you that these other things exist. If I didn't believe that those little water nymphs were actually there and singing to me, I don't know how I got back up the river, because it was really fogged in. But anyway, right on the Georgia-Florida line, heading back north. But anyway, So, but here's this remote area. You don't hear a dog bark. You don't hear a car go by. There's no lights. Okay, it's like uh, one of the best places I've been in places down in the swamp where you can still see somebody's back porch light or their utility light out back. Not so down there on this stretch of the Ochlockonee. So anyway, it's a special place. But if you don't believe that it's possible, then what I saw dancing in front of me was just my imagination. And it was, well, I can't believe that that's really true. But I had to give in to, well, it's very possible. I know they exist. So in my hesitancy, which didn't last long, mind you, I realized, why not believe it? I see them dancing right in front of me, and I hear this little tune in my head that I don't know where it's coming from. But I can see them dancing over here and twirling and then going back. So should I believe this or not? It's right in front of me. Well, okay. Now, why does that matter? Because I saw three separate entities in my house a few feet away from where I'm sitting right now that appeared. And it was Mother Mary, as I would project her to look from my Catholic version. Okay. Not White Dove of the Cherokee Nation. Okay. So then the next person standing there was Sister Helene, that I spoke about many times in my videos. And she was all in white because she was Dominican nun. And so she's all in white. And then next to her was the nun that was the last person to know the secret of Fatima. Now, I cannot remember. I want to say her name was Teresa, but I might be wrong with her name, so please don't quote me. But the three of them appeared in front of me. And that's when I got my message that this is how important me getting on here and doing this is. It was like the really big kick in the butt. Now, having this conversation, were they projections of these people? Now, and I say that they were here. Now, was it a projection of what they looked like? No, Sister Helene looked like Sister Helene, and I knew her for years. So she was this nun and white, and so I actually knew her. Okay, and I was not expecting any of them to show up, let alone like what. So, and then the nun, I'd only seen pictures of the nun from from Fatima. And my Mother Mary was, I recognized it because I'd seen her all these, that was my quote image of what she looked like to me, her representation. And they showed up and it was like, okay, I brought, Mary shows up to me. She shows up with her armor, and I was learning about Fatima. I'd been on this kick about Fatima for years. And it wasn't like I was obsessed with Fatima. It was the secret. It was the last secret. And I spoke about this before, but they have modified, the Catholic Church has modified the last secret from what was originally written, that was opened in 1963 or 4 by then Pope Pius or something. And they opened it up, looked at it, and he said, I ain't dealing with this. He sealed it back up after showing it to the folks in the room and left it up to the next pope to be opened 15 or 20 years later. It's the Catholics know about this, right? And so there are Catholic priests who gave up the priesthood because they wouldn't tell the secret. So then it came out. Now there's this movie about Fatima. So I'm curious as to what the hell they're going to say about it. And who was this? Was it a spaceship? Was it Mary? It's going to be interesting because they have, messed with the story so many times. And but anyway, so this sister, the three of them are lined up over here in the room. And the message I got was, listen, it was, I am real from Fatima, and I was working on the original message, right? Which they have obfuscated now. So it'll be interesting. And then Sister Helene, she was like, you can do this because we talked about this. I sent you to, she's the one that told me that Jesus was a Buddhist, and to go study that. And so all of these three women, now less of the Fatima nun, I don't want to say her name and it be wrong, okay? The three of them showing up and giving me a kick in the butt going, you need to talk about spirituality. You've got to become the communicator. You have to do this. You promised. Well, I guess I signed up, but it was more that I was instructed that this was going to be my lot in life. And I was going to have to, do this, have these conversations and speak the truth. Now, to me, Dante tells the truth. He gives backup. There are paintings, there are documents, there are pictures, there are videos, and people go, I don't know, he messes with. He ain't got time to screw with some of these things. And there are too many pictures and videos, flying saucers and angels and you name it. And there's so much of history that has been obfuscated and messed with and conjured. And now, to one thing, and Dante has said this himself, again, I do not speak for Dante. He has said it. I'm only just having this conversation, but it helped me to understand my own spirituality. And he said that, and I agree with this, I spoke about this before, having nothing to do with Dante, that Creole, or the Orthodox Church in Russia, is the true, if you want a true Christian religion, if you will, that's it. Not to say that they're right, but that they're the truest, because the Orthodox broke from the Roman Catholics. But what was before the Roman Catholic Church? The Orthodox Church. So the Roman Catholics broke away, went over here to Rome, did this thing, while the other folks stayed over near Turkey and Russia and over in there and in that section, right, in Ukraine. And it's very alive. There are people there who really believe, okay, where folks over here are like, yeah, Jesus Christ, yeah, I read the Bible as well, yeah. No, these folks, So, but there were, the Crusades were fought over there. There's history over in Europe and in that area where we don't have that same kind of thing here to rely on or go see. We don't have 500, 600, 700-year-old buildings or 1,000-year-old buildings here in America. No, everything's been within the last 200 years. Now there are large, mounds and things, but anyway. But to the point of this, though, so what do you believe? Now, I believe, whether you call it the Christus or Buddha or, some of the Confucianism, and some of the other Japanese traditions, that nature and the beauty of nature, and that all things can be found there, and that harmony in life, and, and those kinds of things. Those are things that are universal on this planet. And in a lot of other planets, it's still universal. So here's the thing. You say, well, I don't know about the rest of the universe. Okay, but go outside on a halfway clear night and look at the stars out there and go, are you seriously think you're by yourself? Now, there are those flat earth people that think there's a light on the other side, and those are just holes poked through a dome. Okay. But for those of us who believe the universe is the universe with all these spheres and things and stuff, okay. What has that got to do with anything? Well, because it's much bigger than just a religion. You may be an angel, but that doesn't mean that you belong to the Catholic Church. Now, Dante has said this, that, just because they're Karistus doesn't mean that the Orthodox Church is like the one true church, because it's all been affected by men or people, well, let's write this down. Well, I don't know. I don't like it, that verse this way. So there's this book and that. They were all dead mostly, right? So speaking about the Bible. So there's the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's this and that. Yeah, okay, but there's other information too. And it's not being included in with what the church would say, because some of it is contrary to what the The church has been, for example, it was always that, Mary Magdalene, for example, was always the harlot. She was the whore, and that Jesus took her under his arm and this, that, and the other thing. And you find out later on that maybe they were married and she wasn't a whore at all. They called her a whore because they wanted to discredit her and that she had nothing to do with Jesus. And, the thing about the Last Supper, if you, that person on this side, Jesus, it's a woman, just saying, you don't have to go very far to see that, Da Vinci was accurate. So, but where did he get his divine inspiration? Da Vinci came up with all kinds of inventions and things and stuff. Maybe he was a Karistus, reincarnation of somebody. He was here to show and prove and do some things and whatever. I'm not saying that he was, but to the point, there was a Catholic priest that way back in the 1600s or something. And I learned about this in learning about the secrets of Fatima. What's this got to do with everything? Just hang on. Was that he went and was like the prophet, like Nostradamus, but it was all about the Catholic Church. And he predicted the popes up to this last one. He predicted that this one would be who he is. And then the prediction quit because in his prediction, that this would be the last pope. The Catholics don't want to talk about this, okay? But Catholic scholars who've gone to the Vatican and scoured these things, they're like, what? Well, the Catholic Church is in trouble. I mean, the Catholic Church is not the Catholic Church anymore because they have deviated from anything close to being original. And it says right in the Bible, at the end, those who change the word of the Bible will be stricken from the tree of life, the book of the tree of life, and blah, blah, blah. And so what did they do? They changed the Bible, told all the Catholics to throw their Bibles out. Wait a minute now. So who's behind this? You got to ask yourself. So does this matter? Yeah, because they're changing the view of Mother Mary. Well, she was a harlot. She was this. She really wasn't his mother. And let's just calm that part down. Let's just go with she is the inspiration of motherhood. Whether Jesus was divine or not, whether that story is true or not, let's just drop it. Her son, if at least we believe that part is true, her son was crucified. Period. And you got to figure out what was the anguish of that woman and the mother, and what she had to do. She had to stand there and watch him die before her eyes and having no power to do anything about it. And I think to myself, of all the things, what could you get out of this story? How much compassion? And she stood there and watched him die. The strength. I mean, that took huevos cojones. You know what I mean? In the other side of that. So you say, well, wait a minute, let's leave the church out of this. This mother watched her son be crucified. Regardless of the reason, regardless of the thing, and there's too much information that says there were incidents that did happen. But there were people being crucified all the time. So was it just her? Or was it the mothers who were watching their sons and husbands being crucified before their eyes for not believing in what the prophecy, the Pharisee folks over there, blah, 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 or the Romans, or don't believe this or don't believe that. And later on it was Christianity. Where did they get the Christianity, the Karistus? Think about this. Where did the frickin' word come up? The Karistus has been around for a long time. So this was an event 2,000 years ago. But there have been events before this time, and there have been events since that time. In wars and conflicts and kings or queens and stuff, they just weren't as notable as that this is the Christ, okay? But there have been instances all through well, 1,000 years is 10 centuries. So, but millennium, okay? 3 or 4 or 5, 10 millennium. For a long time, these folks have been keeping an eye on this planet. So when you understand that there is a much bigger picture here, and that we are not alone, there are people up there that I say they're paid to listen. It's like my avatar up yonder. If I need information, in the last couple of days, it's kind of quiet. And I mentioned this earlier, and I was like, it was curious. Oh my God, it's been over an hour. It has been an hour. I love you all. Thank you. So, but in this, so what has this got to do with the Silent 72 and Dante and everything? Because of the things that have been coming through to me, there are a lot of people, because, the bad guys, the Vlash with a V, I've really turned the screws down, and they really want humanity behind the masks. They really want to choke off humanity. They want to choke off what we know as what was even close to being normal. Who the hell knows what normal is anymore, right? So they're really tightening the screws down. And there are some of the Mater. Now, this is my belief, but it seems like the two higher factions, and Dante has kind of alluded to this, if you will, in that the bad guys they're both bad guys and they both want to do bad things, but they're not necessarily on the same page as to how they want to do it. Okay. So, for example, the Vlash would like to just blow this planet into an asteroid belt. And the Mater, on the other hand, I'm speaking from what I understand. Not that this is perfectly true, but just hear me out. That the Mater, on the other hand, they want to just keep control. Like, okay, we're going to put everybody back to work, and we're going to give everybody a decent salary, because it keeps the machine going. And now they're both on the bad side, all right? They both want to control us, but one says we've lost control. Let's just blow the planet to smithereens. And the other bad guys are going, no, let's not be too hasty here. Oh, but we're losing control. The internet and people and the free thinking. That's why it's important for those of us who understand what 72 means. And my Silent 72 plus are those of us who are committed. We're warriors of Christ, in that we believe in the Karistus and the cause. And the cause is one thing. Are you working for the cause? What's that? There's one rule: to do no harm. Now, sometimes in a war, you got to hurt some people. But, if you try to only hurt the people who are trying to hurt you, but such are the vagaries of war, right? But in that, my message what's going on with me is that I get strength, and they kick me in the butt and go, listen, you need to go on live and you need to have this conversation, and at least let people hear that there are other things going on, whether they truly believe it or not, whether or not Dante's channel is on private right now. So yeah, you can't back up some of the things that I'm talking about, and for those folks with the Silent 72, as I call us, 72 plus, we're the folks on the bench. But if we see something, going wrong, we try to step in. We try to help out with prayers and with money or with donations or, and whatever. So there are those of us who are part of the cause, and the cause is to help humanity. And it's not for any personal gain. It's hey, look, if I help you and you see the value in that. Remember talking about being of value somehow? Dante brought it up, being of value, and I agreed. And it took me several days, and I did a video on it. And being of value to yourself, you end up being of value to other people. So, but when we think of it in higher terms, well, wait a minute. Oh, why am I doing this? Well, it makes me feel good. But you don't have to overthink it. It's like whether or not those three entities actually were present in my house, or if they were, directed energy holograms that showed up in my house. Here's the thing. The essence of those three ladies. Now, I did not know the third one, but when in seeing her, I got this affirmation oh my God, it's her. Like we brought this extra to show you, have faith. This woman, all of her life, had faith in what she saw and what she understood about Mother Mary, regardless of all the other trappings. She believed in what she saw and what she felt and her communications. So I was having a little trouble, like, you want me to start a YouTube channel? You want me to talk about the Bible and how many lies are it? You want me to do what? And so the sister from Fatima shows up. Proof to me in my own little visiony thingy here is that, oh my God, that's the faith. She had faith. Here's your example. I would, it's, not that Fatima just came up a couple of years ago. No, I was raised Catholic. The thing about Fatima came up because I was in school at the time when they opened the letter in the Vatican, and then they had that big thing and they turned the priest around to face the audience and all this, So, I lived through all that. We turned the church around, and I became one of the commentators and reading the epistle, sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 masses of a Sunday on a regular basis. So I was really into the prayer thing. I was into the word of God. I was into that. And then I started realizing, especially when the priests are feeling you up before you go out, then I realized that the church had nothing to do with the word of God at that time. So my perception of God has changed drastically over the years. But the great creator, which we can pretty much, most of us here anyway, can agree on, creator. Just leave it at that. Well, he's the great creator. Just this one or that. It's the creator. It's the source of everything. And we're all a part of it because we were made. It says so in the Bible, in other places too, that we made in the image and likeness of God. So we're already angels. Believe it. It says it in the beginning of the Bible and at the very end. We are as they are. Okay, so here's some of our relatives, angels. Believe it. Yes. And there is actually proof now, not just pictures and stuff, but there are, I mean, not just paintings of olden days, but I mean, current stuff, right? So now, whether or not you accept it or not, well, I don't know if he really had wings, but I seen this thing, and there'd been a lot of pictures of these angel-looking things just in the sky. So you got to say, well, I don't know if it's true or not. Somebody made it up. What if they didn't make it up? What if it truly is an angel being coming to visit someone or on a mission or something like that? So, but here's the point to this. What do we want? What is our goal? What is my goal? That's to bring joy and understanding and truth to the matter. Regardless of religion, how spiritual are you? And that's the message they keep sending me. It's the motherly love. Again, the Mother Mary or the goddess Ishtar, this separate from Gaia. Gaia is the energy of Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a separate entity. They're both mother figures in that respect, but Gaia is not Mary or the goddess or this representation. They are separate beings, but in that of being feminine, they are the same, okay? And their goals are very similar. So, but the two are separate entities, okay? And I know there are some people who go, no, this is this and that. They're the same. Okay, everybody has their opinion, but understand that the planet has its own energy, and that is Gaia. Yes, that is Mother Earth. But Mary, or the goddess, or Ishtar, or I like to refer to the entity as White Dove of the Cherokee Nation, or just White Dove. That sounds so much more polite to people who are opposed to Mary. But again, it's not in the name, it's in the consciousness and the essence of the being that shows up. Now, were they actually there? I could see through them. So I would say, well, but their essence was here, and it was very clear. It wasn't some kind of little shimmery deal. I mean, it was like, and I don't mean this rudely, but it was like the Three Stooges were there. Not, I mean, it was them. Oh, it wasn't some kind of wispy thing. No, it was them. All right, the three nuns. As I was thinking, and not that Mary or that entity was, but to the point. So, but anyway, since then, I've had several times where I'm like meditating, or sometimes I'm just like checking things out and looking for clues. And I get this, her face is just like, boom. And then her essence comes in, and it's sort of simultaneous, but it's like the picture comes first and then the essence is like right behind it. It's sort of like a JPEG with metadata. You can open up the thing and it's got metadata. So you see the picture, but then there's when it was, the camera and the metadata. So it's like you get the picture, but then there's information that comes with the picture. That's a good sort of explanation about that. But anyway, so what difference does this make in the grand scheme of things? Well, I have seen spirit beings because of when I almost died down on the river that time for the 3 days. I saw from my body that was stuck between some palmetto bushes, and it was about 104 in the daytime. Not feels like it was 104, and no water or whatever. And I saw myself, my spirit, being carried by two angels through the swamp. And I saw myself being carried spiritually, and then I was there. So it was like my consciousness saw me, my spirit leave, my astral plane body, watched it walk away, and then I caught up with that. It was like seeing it and then being it. Really strange. But for all intents and purposes, I should not have made it through that weekend. No food or water hardly. I mean, almost drowned in shallow water. It was just really bizarre. But the fact that I made it out, and stronger and a believer even more, that yeah, there are really true spirits. There really are spirit guides. Holy crap. I saw them, and I spent 3 days on the river, and I, anybody else would have died. I wait, what were you showing me? What was the whole episode about? The episode was to say, see, it's real. Now, it was up to me to either believe it or not. I experienced it, and I'm like, holy crap. I still look at the event and go, holy crap. So what makes me special? I don't have a clue, and I don't think I am. But I'm saying this because I believe what the angel told John. We are all the same, my brothers and sisters. You are as I am. We are all spirit beings. And so if I'm working for the Karistus and with the 72 plus, which means we keep up, what is our basic angel message? Are you working for the cause? What does that mean? I wish no harm on anyone. I'm going to do my best to wish no harm on anyone, or do no harm. Now, there's that spiritual thing. Sometimes you really want to smack somebody, but then the higher spiritual self says, only if he tries to hit me, but then I'm going to smack the shit out of him, But, we gotta try to stay in it as hard as it is, to not become part of the war. Now, I just watched this movie. I can't remember I watched things on Tubi and Hulu and Netflix. But it was about a soldier in World War II when they landed on Okinawa. It's called Hacksaw Ridge. He was a conscientious objector, wouldn't pick up a gun, but he volunteered as a corpsman. And because of this one place, Hacksaw Ridge, he saved over like 78 or 9 men by himself, lowered them off of this cliff with a rope, dragged them out from, the enemy was, the Japs were going through and shooting people into foxholes and stuff, and this guy refused to pick up a gun, defend himself or shoot, and he got 70, some close to 80 men off of that ridge by himself. He lowered them down, but he was a conscientious objector. He said he even lowered down a couple of wounded Japanese, which is like, that's where his compassion was. And by the way, he was a Seventh-day Adventist anyway, and he's probably more true. The church and everybody got together and changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday because it was more convenient. Just saying that there is truth in that. Keep holy the Lord's Day, except when we decide to change which day that is, by the way. But, like changing the Bible and when you're not supposed to. I mean, yeah, okay. So, but with this, all of these things and the things that I have experienced myself, I say angels do exist. Absolutely. Regardless of Dante. Dante just helps, and other channels too, and just helps to cement, or, it's like, yep, that's what I saw. Yep, there you go. And he showed me a picture, son of a gun. I had a dream about this, and a week later, he does a video, and there's a picture in it that had something to do with the dream I was in. I'm like, now, is that coincidental? So I believe that somehow, because of my heritage and whatever, that I am connected through divine providence or whatever. I'm not, I don't know. Edgar Casey says that, that we all we're shown our contract and what our life could be and whether or not we choose to accept it. So I know that my previous life right here where I'm at, physically, I did some horrible, mean, bad, nasty things, and I had to rectify them. And it's really come out of my rectum a couple of times for what I've done in the past. But I realized that I could not pay back whatever I did in the past. So I had to concentrate on looking forward for not just myself, but, that was part of the 3 ladies showing up here in the house. And so it's like, oh, holy crap. Now, so what do we do with this information? Now, I know there are some of you, but through conversation with people and who've had sort of similar experiences. And I would say, I know family's going to tell you you're crazy, and if you try to, here's the thing. I told my story and folks looked at me and went, well, that's interesting. So, but as far as trying to make them believe me, I just have to leave that up to the universe. It doesn't matter. You say, well, what do you mean? Well, I'm having this conversation because I've been kicked again. I love you all, universe, to have this conversation. In that, no, I don't talk about this all the time, but yes, it's a very important part of me and the universe and my conversation with God, if you will, and the connection to Gaia and nature. And, so this is a part of it. But there's more things coming in now about the angels and about the Karistus. And so I think it needs to be explained, at least from my point of view. Now, I had the blessing that Dante took my video that I did about him and how important he was to so many of us, and that we're the silent 72. Each one of us is an angel being. Each one of us makes a difference. It's our intent. We talk about manifesting this, and we talk about it in all kinds of etherical, weird ways. And what if there are just real angels up there fighting like hell to save planet Earth? Could you go, guys, I'm going to do my best down here. I'm one of the grunts down here on the ground. Somebody needs a little something, okay. If there's some little person over here needs something, okay. We are all part of this war. So, are you for the bad guys? You guys wouldn't be here if you were. So, I don't think. I can't speak for you, but I don't think so. But with that, see, there are 20, it says there are 21 people in here right now. So there are 21 people who are thinking basically along the same line, and that we want a better universe. We want to fight these bad guys. We want to tell the truth. We want to bring more harmony. These are all the things we agree on. And it doesn't matter where we live, what color we are, or what religion we grew up in. It's what our intent is. Listen to me preach, brothers and sisters. It is what our intent is now and going forward. It has nothing to do with past events, other than it's nice to look at. What do we wish for tomorrow? We wish for more truth. I want more truth to come out. Do I want somebody's opinion swayed? Take, for example, I can't believe it. When you leave my driveway, there's a house right across the street, right? Now, for years, I can't remember. It's every time there's a Republican, they have voted for him. So I go up the driveway, me and the dog taking the trash out, going to the store. They're staunch Republicans since I have lived here almost 40 years. And they're voting for Biden and what's her name? And I was like, I stopped my truck and just sat there and looked at the sign and went, you've got to be kidding. I mean, I want to go get a Trump poster so bad because they were for Bush. They were, you name the Republican, and they were for him. But now I'm like, okay, Trump's, I don't want Biden. And who are these nickelheads voting for? Biden. 40 years they've been putting up signs for Republicans. What changed their mind? Is the world topsy-turvy or what? I'm like, I would have assumed that they would have, nope, their vote. What? Michelle, what? I see you out there. But in all seriousness, and you know me, I like to joke around, but this stuff with angels and the mother essence, Mary is just that, her name could be anything, all right? But it's the mother instinct. It's the mother, the nurturing. It's that mother that I consider is represented in so many ways. Now, Dante is referred to that Cleopatra was an essence of that energy. That Ishtar and that this person and this person over through history was the reincarnation of the female essence, right? And so that, there were great men over time, that were the reincarnation of the male version of the Christ, if you will. And it hasn't just been one, but and there is information that there are 4 brothers, and that they have appeared over the centuries, over the millennium, okay? And they've appeared here and in paintings and cave walls, but the fact that their reincarnation, their energies have come back with the same goal, the same mission, to save humanity and planet Earth. And I'm like, yeah. Now, like Edgar Casey said, and he was a Christian, mind you, he said that we all have the opportunity, if we did something in a previous life, to make better. Now, one of those, and I feel I was one of these people because I was an old country bumpkin and a redneck back in the 1800s, and folks didn't know much back then. They was a little ignorant, ignorant. So I think I was one of them ignorant folk. But anyway, but this time around, so what do? And I spend a lot of time and a lot of years and a lot of literally blood to try to pay for what happened before. And I've reached a point where Spirit said, you can't make it up. It's already done. The blood's already been spilled. The action, the deed's already been done. The only thing you can change is this point forward. So I kept trying to fix the past. Can't do it. Cannot do it. can leave sacrifices, like I say a sacrifice. Let me change that. Leave offerings, food or this and that or something, or some sage or something anyway, right? So you leave an offering for the spirits in recognition that, I may have done something bad in the past, and here's my offering. Not necessarily a sacrifice, that's the wrong word. But in that offering, you're saying, I'm learning what the past, and I'm learning from my past mistakes, and I'm moving forward. Can't fix what's already happened. Done, over with, kaput. But I can fix the future by my intent and love and caring, compassion, etc. So now how we perceive it, whether or not those were just, light flickerings in my house, I know, whether anybody else believes me, it doesn't matter. And the thing is that I'm sitting here trying, it may sound like I'm trying to convince you. I'm convinced in my own, and that's what I'm trying to explain. When something profound like this happens, it's not just, or this or that. When you see something that profound and it sticks with you and it shows up when you least expect it, and you have to make some kind of sense of it, how it happens, because I went through this. How'd they do that? How'd they show up? Did they beam in Scotty for a few seconds and then get beamed back out? But how did they do that? It doesn't matter. What matters is I know it was them, from the essence, from the feeling, and how the picture showed up, whether they were actually here for those, brief 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever it was. They showed me, they stood there and said, here we are, get it, pay attention. So however they did it doesn't matter. But in my heart of hearts, I know it was them. Now, the third one, the sister from Fatima, I'd never met her, but the essence that came with Mary and with Sister Helene, I was like, gotta trust this third one. They wouldn't have brought her along just for a whim. You know what I mean? Everything has, so anyway. So for those folks who are out there that have had some type of, whether it be Mary, for me, for quite a while, it was White Dove, and she still shows up once in a while. But I've kind of understood that the Mary essence had to come to me because I was studying my Native American heritage, which I do have. It's just not written down. But so it was the essence of White Dove. So I kept trying to find out who White Dove was, and I realized it was Mary. She was showing up to give me, so the essence. Now she showed up this time with I say the three nuns, in that it was appropriate there. But there have been times when I have seen White Dove when I know it's her essence, but she's showing me that she's White Dove. It's the same mother instinct. It's the same blessing. It's the same feeling. It's the same healing, Anyway, so the Silent 72. We must continue to be patient. All right. This is almost an hour and a half. Okay. I'm going to get to pulling some cards here in a minute. So, and I love you all there in the scratch. Alex, hi, how are you? Max, it's good to see you. Max says, I hear Cookies calling me. Yes, I do. And I got some coffee. But anyway, so to kind of wrap this up, the Silent 72 is each one of us prayer warriors or soul tribe members. We are a part of this. So it's the realization that those of us members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, because we wish these better things, then we are already a part of it. Now, in a way, it's sort of my job to bring it to your attention that you're working for a higher cause, not just for yourself but your neighbor, but we're working for a higher cause. What cause are you working for? I'm working on the cause to bring this planet's energy up. I'm working for the cause with the Karistus and the angels and whoever that lady is. You can call her Mary or Goddess or Ishtar or whoever, White Dove. It doesn't matter. It's the mother in that should be in all of us, and that it has come across several times that Mary has sent this message that to say the rosary. And, for those of little faith, saying the rosary over and over and over and over again, the same prayer over and over again, is like, well, wait a minute. What if I just keep her in the back of my head? Like when I wake up today to go, Mother Mary's out there somewhere, I know, and I'm going to be working for the cause. So whatever I do today, I'm dedicating to them, to the Karistus, to, Dante and Azazel and Michael and Danielle. And I can't remember the fourth one. I think it's Uriel, but please don't quote me. I've had a brain fart on that one. But to the point of whether or not you believe, it's up to you. But there are things that we just must understand. They are much greater, much higher there, and there's a lot of proof out there. So, and science can't, make this up. I've seen things appear and then disappear. And I was talking with a friend of mine today, and it was like, saw it, a bunch of other people saw it, and then it was gone. So you have to be able to say, listen, we all are a little crazy in our own ways, but we're not all just like stupid and ignorant like some of these folks. So we're seeing things, we're photographing, we're watching, we're witnessing. And so how hard is it let's just take our level of thought just a little higher. Is this group, not just the Karistus, it's the Anunnaki as well. And there are some folks that have been trying to, put the Anunnaki down. No, the Karistus and the Anunnaki have been working side by side. The Anunnaki are not the bad guys, okay? There are folks that try to make the Anunnaki as the bad guys. Nah. So it's the Karistus, the Kurs, and the Anunnaki who are fighting against the Mater and the Flash, the two major bad guys. So in my humble opinion, I can see the bad guys are fighting each other over who's going to be the baddest bad guy. It's like the mobsters from New York are fighting with the mobsters from Detroit or Chicago. It's like, hey, who's going to rule? Hey, pay attention here, but the idea that, some people say, well, Trump's being ruled by this group and that could possibly be. But if it's for the group, the bad guys who want to be our bosses, but they're going to give us jobs and build buildings and put us back to work again. Okay. Versus getting blasted out of the universe and turned into space dust. I'm going to pick the first ones, right? Not to say that they're good guys, but it's better than the other ones, right? So the enemy of my enemy is sometimes my friend, right? So if the two bad guys are fighting each other, I'm going to pick the lesser of the two evils and go, I'm going to help you out here when I can. So there are times when that's a situation. And I was mistaken over several things over the years, and I have been corrected. And then I have seen through Dante, but also he'd bring it up and I go, okay, he brought this up. Now let me do my own homework. Let me see for myself. And I was like, okay, he must be right. So Dante brings things up, but then it's the universe that kind of proves that, yeah, I've seen things like that. I've experienced, I've actually, holy crap, I saw one of those, and you go, well, and he's over in Europe somewhere, the Ukraine. So it's like, and he's not the only one, it's a group. So am I Christus? It doesn't matter. I think I'm partially because of the information I've got, but that's not the point. It's the point that it doesn't matter what my background is, because I could have been a background and changed and go, you know what? I've had enough being bad. I just, this killing and hating and whatever. I choose, and like my neighbors, how they chose to be Biden supporters, I don't have a clue. They both must have dementia, is all I can say. But so in our belief system of the universe, can angels exist without a religion? The answer is yes. And that the angels don't necessarily have anything to do with religion, but man has tied them to religion. So there are other entities and things in this universe that if they see that, the whole thing in the universe is you can change your mind. That's the free will part of it. You can be the biggest butthole in the world, but if you have a come to Jesus moment and you go, what? Nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And you don't. It's like, for me, it was, I didn't believe 100.1%. And you go, it really makes a difference. Because when you cross that threshold, and you say, well, I really, but there's always, for me, there was always a little bit ahead. Well, I'm not sure if that's true. Well, I don't know if that's right. I don't know. See, so I quit saying, well, you know what? It may be true. And for now, I'm just going to say, okay. But like I said an hour and a half ago, I take things in the universe with a grain of salt. In other words, it may seem and appear okay, but then that salt might dissolve and all you are left with is a bitter taste in your mouth. So we have to be careful. But anyway, so I hope this has been a little bit of something. There are 23 of you here. Blessings to all of you. So is it about Mother Mary? Not particularly. Is it about, do people actually see them? And I'm saying if they know that essence and can smell it or feel it or whatever, then I say, however that picture comes to them, regardless, was it projected? That's where we got to have faith. They know a lot more on how to do stuff than we do down here. So worrying about the mechanics of how they appeared, do you trust it? That's the thing. And for me, over all these years, I've come to trust it. And I've never gotten bad information. I mean, to kick my butt to do a video to talk about spirituality, to try to bring people into a higher level of thinking and bring this little tiny subject of, oh, God's going to smite me. It's a much bigger thing than that, It's bigger than the Bible. It's bigger than this. And we're a part of it. And I don't feel like I'm a pawn. They try to push me in certain directions, but I still have my own free will. And I still know that I can make choices. I still know what I know from my own experience, and I can relate it to you. And you can go, wow, Dave, that's an interesting story. But when you experience it the way I did, and the way other people have too now, not just me. So this is for other people who've had this experience. You don't have to tell anybody, but it's okay. It's all right. No one has to believe you. That was the message I got from my Mother Mary. She goes, Hawkeye, it doesn't matter whether they believe you. What matters is the message that you give. And so I talk about Mother Mary sometimes, but I have mostly stayed out of there, But it needs to be brought up again and discussed in the open. And let's be, it isn't about Catholic. It isn't about Christian, but it is about Karistus. And those are angel beings, and we are part of them, one way or the other. Now, unless you're really evil, wicked, mean, and bad and nasty, then you ain't one of us. You're one of them other hybrid versions of the Flash or the or the Mater or something. But for those of us who get squeamish, cutting up a veggie hot dog, it's like, let's hang on here. Tofu turkey. Oh my God, it says turkey. I might hurt it. Okay. But to the point though, um, how we believe is important, but we got to drop all of the dogma, all of the, well, if you don't believe in the Bible, which one? If you don't believe that Jesus saved us all, well, then I don't have to be baptized, right? So there are so many contradictions right dead in front of us that you just got to go, hang on, wait. I believe there were some holy guys that walked around in the sand out there over in Egypt and in the Middle East. Okay. Some people wrote some stuff down. Okay. And some of it makes a lot of sense when you sit down and read. I still read the Bible, but less often now. But I understand what its meaning is. I understand who that reincarnation, that Jesus character was. He was a Karistus here to show other people and to learn and to pass around this information. And they nailed him to a cross for it, and he suffered and he came back to show folks, listen, dun, da, 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 there's magic in this world. And it ain't got nothing to do with the Jews or these people or that. There's a higher source of stuff here. And we should pay attention. And even Jesus said on the cross, if you believe this, he looked at the one robber and the guy said, yeah, screw you, and the other guy was like, how do I go to heaven? And he said, ask forgiveness for your sins and you'll walk with me. And, the other guy was like, pooey. Then they all dying, right? What's it going to hurt to go? Sure. Why not? Give it a shot here. Right. So, best 2 out of 3, I guess you could say, so the one guy says, yeah, I'm going with you, and the other guy, so we all have a choice right up to the end to change our minds. So do we want to change our minds? Do we want to keep believing horse shit? I'm sorry, but some of this stuff is just horse shit. I don't know how else to put it without being even more gross. But pig shit is a lot worse. And so are ducks. Ducks make a mess, by the way. They can squirt poo out their back end for yards. I've seen them. Oh my God, they're horrible. But anyway, and what they poo will kill the grass and anything around it. They're not really good animals to have around anyway. But so, but the stuff they're trying to feed us now, and like friends of mine are saying up there up north, people are wrapping themselves in cellophane just about it to go into the store. And other people are cursing other people, you don't have your cellophane on, where's your handy wrap? We got to wrap you up in handy wrap before you come in the store. That should be fun. Just take some handy wrap and just before you go in the store, just wrap it around you like this and go, okay, are you happy now? I got it in my back pocket. You want to wrap my head in it too? But, just saying. But some people are gone nuts, and other people like down here in the South, they're all being basically fairly sane. I went to the Home Depot station the other day, and they got the big signs, and on this end of the store, everybody was going in and on with a mask. But you go down to the contractor's end, and people are walking around without no mask on. Folks walking in and out and buying lumber and toting shit in and out. Nobody had a mask on. Nobody was pointing their finger. And a couple of the employees that were working over there, they didn't have they had their mask pulled down, and it was only people in the rest of the store kind of thing. But it was like, this almost looks like normal. Cheers, So anyway, I'm going to look here. Hey, Al, let's see. Scratch. I'm going to 2 weeks of solitude. Be safe, brother Al. Memphis, Tennessee, 2 a.m. Be careful. I've been across that section of highway. Be careful. Max says, has ESP. I've seen it. Yeah. And ESP for folks is, we all got it. We all just there's some people are not don't understand about the hearing, the frequency thingy. You know, I've talked about it before. Me and my granny, we did it, and it was before anybody even, ESP was like, shh, and me and granny did it all the time. And she made me promise, don't tell your Aunt Shirley or your ma, they'll think I'm crazy. And I'm like, Grandma, I know you better than anybody probably, and we got this, right? But so for a long time, I've understood that yes, this does exist. Yes, it happens between people, and it does. You don't have to be family members. Oh, let me tell you this little story about astral projection and ESP. And I think this, people say, well, how do you know it's really true? How can you tell? Well, back in the late 70s, before I got thrown in jail down in Florida, I was working for a radio station up in Tifton. And there was this chick that worked the night shift. And I say this not in disrespect, but her name was Sheila. We call her Thela. But anyway, her and I, way back then, were talking about ESP and astral projection and all that kind of stuff. So we came up with it. We devised this plan. And she was going to Abram Baldwin College there in Tifton at the time. So she would get tired and fall asleep before she signed off at 12 o'clock on the one station. We monitored two separate stations, and one went off at 12 and one went off at 1. And so you had to change tapes and do commercial breaks and do the flag waving at night. Anyway, so I said, okay, I'm going to try something. I said, that's the time I'm going to bed and going to sleep and doing my thing. I'm going to picture myself walking in the back of the radio station there, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to wake you up. I'll tap you on the shoulder. How about that? Well, so I practiced this, and I was, I would get to work and I would walk down the hall and I would count the steps, and then I'd turn right and count the steps, and then there's the door, and then it was the back of the control room, and then you walked in. So I practiced it walking while in real life, and then going home and walked it in my thoughts, right? So this one night I do this thing, and I walk in the back door, and I'm up the thing, and I go through the doorway, and I look up at the clock. Now, this is how I know it's true. I looked up at the clock, and it was like 6 minutes to 12. She's, it's time for, her to do the outro and the thingy and sign off at 12. And so I walk in the back, and I look up at the clock. It's 6 minutes till, and she turns around in the chair and screams and says, "Don't you ever do that again." And I was back in my bed 50 miles away. And so then I didn't see her for 2 days. And when I went and saw her, our shifts overlapped. And she said, "Don't you ever sneak up on me like that again." And I said, "Well, what time was it?" She goes, "It was 6 minutes till. Now, you know damn well and good I was awake, and you walked in. Don't you ever scare me like that again." And I was like, "You saw me?" She goes, "Yeah, I knew it. Didn't you see me scream?" I turned around. I said, "Yeah, but I had to hear you tell the story, because I could be dreaming this up. It could have just been fake to me, right? I dreamed this, imagined it, right? But then when she told me this and this and this, what she was doing, and that she turned around and she screamed, it was 6 minutes. So I was like, holy shit." So we did it several times. So I would change directions. In other words, I wouldn't sneak up on her. So I went out on the street and walked up across the grass to the big plate glass, and I would walk up that way to see if she was doing okay. So in my mind's eye, I would literally walk up to the glass and put my hands like this, because it was bright, to see what control room she was in. And as I was walking across the lawn in my dreams, right, she turns, she's loading these great big, reel-to-reel tapes on this bank of tape machines. And she looks out the window and kind of squints like this, and then waves at me. And I walk up to the window and I go like this, and she was like, "Hi," and and went back to doing her thing. And I said, okay, that was the whole point of that. Well, we did this a couple other times. She wasn't in the room one time and walked in, and she was actually asleep, and I tapped on the window in my brain, right? Tap, tap, tap. and she said she heard a tapping sound and had dozed off in the back. So the one time I went into the break room where there was a couch and we all took naps at some point when we did 12-hour shifts. So, but anyway, my point to that is she proved to me that it was possible and that people could see you and others. And she hunted me down about 8 months later before I got put in jail in the middle of the sticks, in the middle of the nowhere. I mean, I'm a lot closer than I was to civilization here. But she found me. She goes, I just had this thought. And I went and talked to this person who happened to know you, who says you lived out here on the county line. She drove from Tifton all the way down to Berlin and checked me and found me out in the middle of nowhere because she had all these experiences and her and I had connected in this way. ESP, I already believed that astral projection was possible, but I did not believe until that experience that somebody else could see it. So, but that's linked into the ESP thing. They're connected because it's that higher energy. It's just, so anyway, when people say, well, how do you believe what you believe? I've never told that story before, and it came back up the other day, and I thought, that's because it really honestly did happen. I don't know whatever happened to Thela, but, she was connected to the universe all them years ago, and her and I had this connection, not related, but we understood what it was. And so anyway, is it possible? Yes. Can we practice it? Yes. Find somebody that you can practice with, that you can trust, and you work out what you're going to do ahead of time. So there's no surprises, me sneaking up behind her, but it was like my first attempt or second attempt, So, but in that, I didn't know that she would actually see me. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to go in there and like knock something open, or, but she physically saw me enter the room. So that was scary to me at first, that I had enough energy that they could physically see me manifest in front of them. So anyway, but how is it done? So is Mother Mary or them floating around out there somewhere and they project themselves down? I have projected myself to other places and people have seen me. We wrote it down, and then my house burned down and all that documentation went. But the experience never left me. It still happened. And I did have other people. We had this little consortium going on, and it was like 78, 77, 78 back then. So we were practicing this stuff way long time ago. Now, all the brain injuries I've had on my head has, kept me from being as prolific as good at it as I used to be. But, my brain has been rearranged several times. Honestly, they say anytime you've seen stars, you've had a minor concussion. I've had 10 major concussions and over 20 minor. So, yeah, my brain's been frazzled, and that's not counting all the drugs I took. Yes, I'm listening. I'm going to pull some cards now. So I say, trust your own faith. Understand that if somebody discusses Mother Mary, they may not be talking about a Christian kind of Catholic version, because I'm not talking about that. That's how she appeared. That's what my first manifestations of her and that kind of thing. But is it related to the church? No, only by coincidence. Do I think she's a part of the Karistus group? Yes. Do I think her essence has been reincarnated many times? Yes. Do I think it will be reincarnated again? It may already be reincarnated now. We just don't know who this individual is. Now, there's a Venusian lady running around, and there's this other person claiming certain things, and they may be. But I haven't heard anybody say, hey, my name is Mary. How you do? So, but I think she's made her presence known to enough of us that it doesn't matter, because, by having this discussion about her, is that it doesn't matter where anybody believes you, whether you believe Fatima or not. That I do because of my research and the things that have happened to me, and I can tell that story, but I'm not here to make you believe it. But there are people out there who have had similar types of events, and they don't know what to do. They don't know whether to believe it or not. And they don't know whether, if they tell their story, if anybody will believe them. And for years and years and years and years, I kept saying, nobody will ever believe me. And she kept telling me, it doesn't matter whether they believe you or not. And trying to force them to believe you is not the answer. Just tell the story and leave it at that. So there's the story. I'm leaving it at that. Now, as far as the Silent 72, some folks who haven't heard from Dante or what, there's stuff going on, folks. There's big stuff going on. They are busy. And people say, well, Dante this and Dante that. You don't have a clue what these folks are really doing. And I am not in that kind of know, but I am in this much of the know. And it's very simple. Have faith. Keep up your core values. Continue being a good person. Continue to strive to be of value. Keep these things going. Stay out of the chaos and try to calm other people who are in the chaos. Try to calm them down. Do we have a job? Yes. We're grunts on the ground. We're the privates. We're the guys that are hauling this and that to the front line. Yes. We're the Silent 72 plus. We're all of the other angel spirit beings who aren't on the front lines, but we're still having an effect. We still must keep the faith and understand that we're making a difference. Now, how much? We'll see. Upside down cards. Okay, upside down horse. Now, we've had horse before. I'm just going to keep that one there as that was just the bottom card. I'm looking for cards now. So anyway, I hope this has had some benefit to y'all. It's great hanging out with y'all. And I'm sorry I'm not looking in the chat. I'm trying to stay my mental focus here, okay? It's either that one or this one. We'll put that one there. That one's just a maybe. All right. Where there's a lot of chatter going on in my head. Different people need different cards is what I'm hearing. Yeah, all right, let me see. But all right. That one, that's a maybe. And I'll take this one as I think this is the card. Okay. All right. And we've already done horse, but horse was upside down. And horse, if we remember about horse was the energy that was brought from the east across the ocean, because horse wasn't necessarily indigenous to the Americas until the Spanish and them folk arrived. Although they're like pygmy Shetland pony kind of things, but not like horses. So, but horse represents, oh, that's why they showed me horse. Oh, crap. No, that's a different video. But anyway, the Dreamwalker got on horse's back and showed him that that riding on a horse was like flying and learning the secrets and so forth. So, but anyway, ooh, bear. Bear. Let's see what bear has to say. All right. So, for folks who are wondering whether or not, tell your story about Mary and just have the faith that it doesn't matter where anybody believes you. What matters is you believe it. That's the thing. So, and trying to convince other people. So I've had my conversation about it, but there not a few, but back in the day when I first started talking about Mary, People were giving me grief up one side and down the other about it, And I just realized you can't think, you can't let them bother you. You can't let a troll who doesn't understand what you have done. Oh, that's a 5, not a 6. Oh, thank you. Bear, number 5. And it is upside down. But I had the deck going all different kinds of ways. So, but you know me, I read the contrary anyway. But it isn't about whether or not you convince someone else that you saw or had an apparition or whatever. It's whether or not you in your heart believe it. And what does it do for you? What is the message it gives to you? And what is that message that you can convey? That's the trick. So, bear, invite me into the cave where silence surrounds the answers you gave. Now, bear's number 5, and the title underneath it is Introspection. The strength of bear medicine is the power of introspection. It lies in the west on the great medicine wheel of life. Bear seeks honey, or the sweetness of truth, within the hollow of an old tree. In the winter, when the ice queen reigns and the face of death is upon the earth, bear enters the womb cave to hibernate, to digest the year's experience. It is said that our goals reside in the West also. To accomplish the goals and dreams that we carry, the art of introspection is necessary. Self-reflection, introspection. You're welcome, Teresa. Hey, Mary. Scrambled eggs, Michelle. Thank you. To become like bear and enter the safety of the womb cave, we must attune ourselves to the energies of the eternal mother. How appropriate, right? Mother, wow. Okie doke. Let me read that again because it just freaked me out. To become like bear and enter the safety of the womb cave, we must attune ourselves to the energies of the eternal mother and receive nourishment from the placenta of the great void. I'm always saying, pray to the universe. Here, golly. Can I pick them or what? The great void is the place where all solutions and answers live in harmony with the questions that fill our realities. If we choose to believe that there are many questions to life, we must also believe that the answer to these questions reside within us. Each and every being has the capacity to quiet the mind, enter the silence, and know. And know is in italics. So, and know. Many tribes have called this space of inner knowing the dream lodge, where the death of the illusion of physical reality overlays the expansiveness of eternity. Let me read that one again. Let me get some copy. Hi, Bob. Me, myself, and I, we love you too, Michelle. Many tribes have called this space of inner knowing the dream lodge, where the death of illusion of physical reality, the illusion of physical reality, overlays the expansiveness of eternity. Wow. It is in the dream lodge that our ancestors sit in council and advise us regarding alternative pathways that lead us to our goals. This is the power of bear. The female receptive energy that for centuries has allowed visionaries, mystics, and shamans to prophesy is contained in this very special bear energy. In India, the cave symbolizes the cave of Brahma, Brahma's cave is considered to be the pineal gland that sits in the center of the four lobes of the brain. If one were to imagine an overview of the head, the top, it would be a circle. The south would be the forehead, the north, the back of the skull, the west would be the right brain, and the east, the left brain. Bear is in the west, the intuitive side, the right side of the brain. To hibernate, bear travels to the cave, which is the center of the four lobes, where the pineal gland resides. In the cave, bear seeks answers while he or she is dreaming or hibernating. Bear is then reborn in the spring, like the opening of spring flowers. For eons, all seekers of the dream time and of visions have walked the path of silence, calming the inner chatter, reaching the place of rites of passage, the channel or pineal gland. From the cave of bear, you find the pathway to the dream lodge and the other levels of imagination or consciousness. In choosing bear, the power of knowing has invited you to enter the silence and become acquainted with the dream lodge so that your goals may become concrete realities. This is the strength of bear. Now, the bear was upside down, so I had to read that part. The contrary version of bear. If you have drawn bear reversed, your internal dialogue may have confused your perception of your true goals. So you may have confused your perception of your true goals. In seeking answers or advice from others, you may have placed your own feelings and your own knowing aside. The time has come to regain your authority, for no one knows better than yourself what is proper and timely for your evolution. Reclaim the power of knowing. Find joy in the silence and richness of mother's womb. Regardless of her first name, it's mother. Allow the thoughts of confusion to be laid to rest as clarity emerges from the west, nurturing your dreams as the earth mother nourishes us all. There is the contrary position is teaching you that only through being your own advisor can you attain your true goals. Anything less than the doing of that which gives you the most joy is denial. To achieve happiness, you must know yourself. To know yourself is to know your body, your mind, and your spirit. Use your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, and know that both are necessary in your evolution. Journey with bear to the quietness of your cave and hibernate in silence. Dream your dreams and own them. Then in strength you will be ready to discover the honey waiting in the tree of life. I was talking about the tree of life in the book of the last chapters of the Bible. So, but also in that bear in the contrary position is teaching you that only through being your own advisor can you attain your true goals. Now, you can listen to me, we can have conversation, but what I was talking about before is connecting with your spirit guide. And you and them, you guys are connected, and you know it's them, and you can hear their voice, you can sense them, you know it's them. That's the you, that's the higher you. So there are folks right now, because of all the confusion, that don't know what the hell to do. They don't know what to believe. And oh, here comes Raven again. When Raven came up this time. And it's Bear even said that there's somebody that's trying to confuse you. Your internal dialogue may have been confused, your perception of your true goal. In other words, you may be thinking you're working on this. Oh, say, for example, you're donating money, to feed the children. And you think, wait a minute, how much money is actually getting to them? Well, there's 85% of the cost is administrative. So only, 15 cents of every dollar is actually going to feed somebody. But We won't talk about that. So it could be, I mean, that's just an example of you think you're doing something when actually you're being confused. Your perception is being confused about what your true goal is. Your true goal is to want to feed somebody or help out. So maybe you literally go buy some food and give it away. That might be more true. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so Raven is number 16. And I pulled Raven before, and it took a little shuffling to get Raven, but Raven popped up again. Raven, black as pitch, mystical as the moon. Speak to me of magic. I will fly with you soon. So Raven is magic. Throughout time, Raven has carried the medicine of magic. This has been true in many cultures across the planet. It is sacred in the medicine ways to honor Raven as the bringer of magic. If the magic is bad medicine, the carrier may be honored out of fear rather than out of respect. So in other words, if you see something, you're like, holy crap, you know, you've heard me talk about honor. So, oh, I did something to this computer. I touched something. Hang on a second. All right. But the carrier may be honored. In other words, whoever is bringing the message, you honor them because you fear the crap out of them. And there are folks out there right now is like, you know, like I talked about with Brutus, but Brutus was an honorable man. Actually, he really wasn't, but you know, trying to convince you, right? Those who fear Raven may do so because they have been dabbling in areas in which they had no knowledge, and a spell may have backfired on them. I talked about spell casting. Here's Raven. Rather than analyzing the dark side of sorcery, realize that you will fear Raven only if you need to learn about your inner fears or self-created demons. And there's some folks out there who are creating their own demons. They're allowing the chaos to turn actually into a magical bad-ass demon. Raven magic is a powerful medicine that can give you the courage to enter the darkness of the void. Now, what was the void? Was the bear, right? To go into bear dream world, to go into the void where the answers are, which is the home of all that is not yet in form. So the void is just there. So there's thoughts out there, but they haven't taken shape in any way. The void is called the great mystery. Great mystery existed before all other things came into being. Great spirit lives inside the void and emerged from the great mystery. Raven is the messenger of the void. It's not a god, it's the messenger. So there are folks who say, well, Raven, they look at me as a god, the messenger of God, an angel, if you will. If Raven appears in your spread, you are about to experience a change in consciousness. Maybe that's, you know, this is time. This may involve walking inside the great mystery on another path at the edge of time. It would portend a signal brought by the Raven that says, you have earned the right to see and experience a little more of life's magic. Raven's color is the color of the void, the black hole in space that holds all the energy of the creative source. Creative source. In native teachings, the color black means many things, but it does not mean evil. I keep saying that to folks. Just because it's black doesn't mean it's bad. Black can mean the seeking of answers, the void, or the road of the spiritual or non-physical. The blue-black of Raven contains an iridescence that speaks of the magic of darkness and is the changeability of form and shape that brings an awakening in the process. So we see different things, you know, Mandela effects possibly, but I do think those are real. But, you know, things are changing right before us. Like my neighbors are voting for Biden. Never in a million years. I'm like in an alternate universe. Is this bizarro world or what? Raven is the guardian of ceremonial magic and in absentia healing. In other words, in any healing circle, Raven is present. Raven guides the magic of healing and the change in consciousness that will bring about a new reality and dispel dis-ease or illness. Raven brings in the new state of wellness from the void of the great mystery and the field of plenty. Raven is a messenger that carries all energy flows of ceremonial magic between the ceremony itself and the intended destination. We've talked about this before. If you want to heal someone, send it with Raven. So think of Raven, send a prayer, and send it to whoever it needs to go, and hopefully it'll get there instead of getting mixed up in the mishmash. For instance, if a ceremony is being performed to send energy to a disaster area where people need courage and strength, Raven would be the courier for that energy flow. The intention could be to allow the people of the devastated area to feel the concern and support of the participants of the ceremony. In other words, they would feel the love, right? If you have chosen Raven, magic is in the air. Do not try to figure it out. What did I say about explaining and whether or not you cannot? It is the power of the unknown at work, and something special is about to happen. The deeper mystery, however, is how you will respond to the sparkling synchronicity of this alchemical moment. Will you recognize it and use it to further enhance your spirit life on your spiritual growth? Can you accept it as a gift from the Great Spirit? Or will you limit the power of the great mystery by explaining it away? In other words, well, did you see it or not? Was it a projection? What does it matter? You had a vision. It showed they appeared in front. How they did it, it doesn't matter. That's one of the great mysteries. Did it matter? Did you feel the spirit of them? See, it may be time to call Raven as a courier to carry an intention, some healing energy, a thought, or a message. Raven is the patron of smoke signals or spirit messages represented by smoke. So if you want to send a message to the Blue Road of Spirit in order to contact the ancients, call Raven. Or who knows, the ancients may be calling you. Remember, this magic moment came from the void of darkness, and the challenge is to bring it to light. In doing so, you will have honored the magician within. Now, I don't like using the word magic and the magician, but in that it's natural magic, and that how they use this, it's not that you're conjuring a spell. You want people to heal. You want to send love and honor to other folks who are in need. You know, is that sort of a magic? Yeah, it is. But it's also natural. But we have to call it something, right? Because we're not used to it. Now I have to read the contrary. Raven reversed is not to be taken lightly. It wasn't reversed. It can mean that the boomerang is coming home. If you have wished harm to another, beware. If you have asked for this harm to teach you a lesson in turn, what it feels like. If you have not been wishing evil on another, contrary Raven may be bringing you a warning that you are not equipped to move into another level of consciousness until you have mastered the one you are currently working with. Now, I think that statement right there goes to a lot of people. They're trying to move into the fifth dimension when they haven't mastered the lower fourth. You know, you can't. On yet another level, Raven may be telling you that you have forgotten the magic of life and have settled into a mundane rut. Now, but the biggest thing is that you're not equipped yet to move into another level of consciousness until you have mastered the one you are currently working with. Now, that's the message that comes out of this. Contrary Raven may also portend a time of smoky, confused messages. Now, that is going on. There's a lot of confusion out there that you cannot see or hear because your intellect is insisting that magic is not real. So it's like, whether you believe me or not about Mother Mary and what I said an hour and a half ago, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because if you lack in faith, that in the belief, I believe it, so therefore the magic is mine. If you believe what you've seen and can say, then the magic is yours. Now I can share my message and so forth, but it's basically my magic, which I'm willing to share. But that you will have your own Mother Mary or higher consciousness, and that's going to be your magic. That's your connection with the universe, you know? If you cannot imagine or pretend due to your lack of faith in magic or miracles, healing cannot take place. Raven may be pecking at the door of your consciousness, but you will not receive unless you clear the smoke and seek the other realms of imagination and awareness where magic lives. And you can find that with the bear going into the dream world, into the dream walk. And so it's like, did those two cards have anything to do with the topic I brought up tonight? Well, Now I sidelined these two cards. Oh my gosh, it's Ant again. But here's one, and that I haven't read before, and it's Porcupine. Wait a minute, maybe I have, not sure. Anyway, the Null family crest is supposed to be a porcupine, so the fact that I pulled it is like, let's see what Porcupine has to say. How about this? Porcupine, remind me of innocence again. With every man a brother, each woman a friend. It's number 12. Porcupine is innocence. The south of the medicine wheel is the place of childlike innocence and humility. It is the home of playfulness and the position of Porcupine on the medicine wheel of life. Porcupine has many special qualities and a very powerful medicine. The power of faith and trust. Oh boy, I just got that out of my mouth, didn't I? The power of faith contains within it the ability to move mountains. The power of trust in life involves trusting that the Great Spirit has a divine plan. I was talking about the Karistus and the bigger picture, a divine plan. Trust can open doorways to the creation of space. The space thus created allows others to open their hearts to you and to share their gifts of love, joy, and companionship and compassion. If you were to observe Porcupine, you would immediately notice its quills. These quills are only used when trust has been broken between Porcupine and another creature. Much like Otter, Porcupine is a gentle, loving creature and non-aggressive. When fear is not present, it is possible to feed a porcupine by hand and never get stuck by its quills. Through understanding the basic nature of this animal, you may come to understand your own need for trust and faith, and for becoming like a child again. In today's society, this is a needed reminder to honor the wonder of life and the appreciation of each new day as an adventure of discovery. Porcupine sat quietly looking at a hollow log. She wondered if it was a playhouse that nature had created just for her. Porcupine envisioned all the things she could do with the log. She would climb on top and make the log roll from side to side. She'd go inside and see if there were any juicy worms for her dinner. As a matter of fact, she could also scratch her back on the rough outer bark if she wanted to. Just as Porcupine was wondering what to do next, she saw Bear approaching. Bear was big and black and looking for honey. Oh, another playmate to share my log, she thought. Hello, Bear, she cooed. You want to play and share my log with me? And gruff old bear snorted, Porcupine, don't you know that I'm too old to play? You're in my way. I'm looking for honey. Go away. Why, bear, you're never too old to play, she replied. If you forget what it is like to be a cub, you'll always be as impatient and gruff as you are now. Bear began to think about what Porcupine had said. Maybe Porcupine was right. All the other creatures had run away from Bear in fright. Even the other bears had turned up their noses when he growled at them. This little porcupine was certainly trusting him not to eat her. She even offered to be his friend. The old bear looked at Porcupine and began to feel something move inside him. He started to remember the games he had played as a cub. Joy started to live in him again. Little Porcupine, you have reminded me that in becoming strong and seeking answers, I got caught up in trying to be an intellectual. I became afraid of what others would think if I dropped my mask of gruffiness. I was afraid they wouldn't, my mask of gruffiness? I was afraid they wouldn't take me seriously anymore. You have taught me that in being a fuddy-duddy, I was causing others not to care for me. Thank you. I'd love to play with you and this old log. And so it was that Bear became childlike again and learned the innocence of Porcupine. In choosing the Porcupine card, you have given yourself a gentle reminder not to get caught up in the chaos of the adult world where fear, greed, and suffering are commonplace. The medicine of this card is that of relief from seriousness and severity. Open your heart to those things that give you joy. Joy, make you feel yourself, valued as a child. Remember the preciousness of fantasy and imagination and the making of some game or toy from nothing but scraps. Honor the playfulness of spirit that lets everyone win. Now, the contrary, although it came straight up, in pulling the Porcupine card reversed, you're giving yourself a timely warning that you cannot win the game of life if you are too serious. In some area of your life, you may be feeling hurt or afraid of trusting again. Many of us have had our trust smacked. It is possible that life has recently dealt you a hard blow. If this is so, it is time to begin again by placing faith in your ability. Faith in your ability to overcome the lesson with joy. Are you willing to trust yourself? If so, you might begin by writing down the feelings that come out of the situation. How can you, as your adult self, comfort you, the child within, and teach your inner child how to have faith and trust again? The ill-dignified porcupine is belly up with its quill stuck in the ground. This is a rather defenseless position. You may be forcing yourself to be vulnerable so that you can regain your hope. Somebody mentioned hope earlier. Perhaps you needed to roll over to get your tummy patted. This position could therefore indicate that you are ready to accept a little love from others. In any case, if you are not willing to trust again, this card is forcing you to look at why or at why not. So I look at it as, boy, that card made sense too. So the ant, remember, the ant can pick up 10 times his stuff. Good night, Ian. Good night, folks. I know it's been 2 hours and a half, so it's time for me to say good night. This has been an interesting conversation. Defense mechanism. Yep. So, Al, if you spoke at least 60,000 words tonight, or more, and I was on the phone with some other people for 2 hours before I did this video. So, I've been yakking for the last 6 hours, basically, with somebody. But So what did the cards say? Have faith. What did the cards say? Find joy. What did the cards say? You want to understand certain things, go into the void and seek the answers there. Go within with there and hibernate. Now the hibernate is not to get away from shit. It's not a I used to do this, so I'm speaking about myself. But use the hibernation as a form of I'm depressed, so I'm going within. I'm going within. It was a useless excuse, and you can't do that. If you're going within all the time, you might need to get out of that damn cave. You may be wallowing in this dream world, dreamland, and you need to get out of the cave. Just saying. Now, there are many of us who are, feeling tied up on our own little homes and caves. So that metaphor sort of kind of works for many of us, but getting out of the cave could be just going out in the backyard. So just changing what you're doing. If you're doing the same thing at the same time every single day, you may be in a rut. Now it may be that you have to do it at the same time every day or whatever, but there are some people. I mean, we ate supper at 6 o'clock every night, all right, when I was growing up. It wasn't, 5:59. It wasn't 6:01. It was 6 o'clock, period, And if you weren't there, you got your ass. But I'm only a minute. I was washing up. Doesn't matter. You were late. But it's supper. But it's 6 o'clock. So can we eat at 6:05? It's 6. It's 6. It's got to be 6. Oh, my God. The anal retentiveness of that. You know what I'm saying? So there are some times where we need to eat it. We're eating at 6:15 today. Well, we usually eat at 6, don't we? Yeah, but just for the hell of it, we're going to be 15 minutes late. But just to break the stream of ruttiness, rutness. And spiritually, there are some folks who are caught in a rut. And some people, I swear to goodness, Jesus, they're going backwards. And I won't mention any names, but there are some folks that I used to literally have a lot of respect for that I'm beginning to like, oh my God, these folks have literally gone to the dark side. They're trying to take shortcuts. They're trying to, they're like, oh, it's all right to use sigils. It's all right to do this. It's all right to do that. It's all right to spellcast. No, the hell it ain't. And if you're doing that kind of stuff, then you're not on my team, if you know what I mean. Because, the thing is with, when you realize that you're a part of this big something already, and that just by accepting it and allowing it and to let these things that Bear and Raven and all these, these medicine cards teach us, sigils and spells don't even, they're like useless. They're like, what do you do? What are you doing this for? Well, what you're going backwards. You had come to this realization that the universe is so big, but now you want to tie yourself down with some 3D image. You want to tie yourself down to these words and stuff. And when all you got to go is say, thank you, Creator, and to all the energies and angels and beings that are working on our behalf. And asking some of those guys, find the joy. Thank you. Deborah Truax, thank you so much. Love you too, brother Al. Yes. Thank you. All y'all. Ian and David Castle, it's good to see you back. We was a little worried that, and we're glad that nothing bad happened, but having computer issues is bad enough. But listen, it has been 2 hours and 33 minutes. And I have been talking for a long time today, but I think it is, I'm hoping, because you guys are still here, you folk, that it made a difference. And it will make a difference even if you have to watch this video over and catch up on some of the stuff. What's important, whether it's the Mother Mary, but it's the Mother image, it's Mother Earth, it's even in the cards, it's the Mother of the Earth, it's nature. Wrap yourself in the womb of the mother and be healed. And we want to share this healing. What's wrong with that? Regardless of what the woman's first name is, you know what I mean? It's the mother. It's mother, you know. So regardless, there was a book by Robert Heinlein, and I want to say it was Podkane of Mars, but it might have been another one. And I read a lot of Robert Heinlein back in the day before anybody knew who Robert Heinlein was. And then he did Stranger in a Strange Land. But in one of his books, he was talking about how these children had gotten onto this other planet, and there was this great big kind of wormish looking, ugly looking kind of thing on this creature, but they called it Mother, and it protected them, it wasn't just to these two children, but it was to anyone, and she was the mother. This feeling, this big giant worm kind of thing, which I found kind of weird in that, but it was the instinct that they felt, regardless of what the critter looked like. It was, they knew in their heart that this was Mother, and they knew it, you know. So even in some of the strangest science fiction books, I think Robert Heinlein was of a higher mindset, let's just say. When I read him back in the 60s, I was like, where's this guy coming up with this stuff? You know, and you know, he was the one that wrote Starship Troopers. And I think that the first movie of the Starship Troopers with the arachnids, the big spider thingies, that was one of the first books I ever saw that they followed the book damn near to the letter. It was amazing. Even some of the same words in the book and some of the things, you know, I was like, they kept true to Robert Heinlein. Whoever did Starship Troopers, they did the man a good, anyway. And there's some stuff in there that's like, what? Anyway. Like, for example, that there are some fourth dimensional spider beings that have been spotted in a lot of places, for example. And whether or not they're trying to invade or not, people are seeing spider beings. So that's just interesting in and of itself. But so Mother Mary, Mother, the mother of things, the mother of the universe, the Mother Earth, Mother, 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 regardless of the name, it's Mother. Now, we could talk about Papa and this, that, and the other thing, but Papa ain't the same. He's the guy that's out golfing and doing war and stuff. Mama's the one that gives us the hugs and the nourishment and feeds us. So not that Papa doesn't, but, you know, so with that conversation was about Mother, regardless of her name. And how do you feel about it? And the Karistus. Are you part of the gang of 72 plus? I think we are, whether we know it or not. You can say, you know, okay, you can make your own testament. When I said I am a warrior for you guys, that was it. And it was before I knew about the Karistus. I made my promise, and then I found out about the Karistus, which, you know, there's all these weird synchronicities, you know. But I haven't regretted a moment of it. Every day is a new day. You know, I did a video almost a week ago about my ankle and the pain and dealing with it and stuff. That's been a new experience. My ankle's doing much better, thank you all. But in that, there's pain of the heart, there's pain of the spirit, there's physical pain. And how we deal with each of them requires faith. So trust yourself, trust in what the cards say, because they gave a really good, you know, message regardless of what I talked about for 2 hours. So Deborah, David Castle, Al, let's see, regimented, says Michelle. Yep. No, keep going, Dave. I think, and just kind of checking out what you, I'm scrolling back up to see what y'all are. Ian bailed out. Yeah. Good night. All y'all that's hanging out here, there's 14 of you, it says. Max was here. Yeah, thank you. It's always it's nice when all y'all hang out. It is. Um, because like this evening, I kind of argued about. Al said back. Thanks for believing, Hawkeye. Mary, your card is ethereal and stunning, says Michelle. Oh, is Mary Wins? Oh, Mary Wins is in the house. Okay. Scratch, Wonderful World of ESP. The same wrote declassified Adam and Eve story. Yep. There's a lot of weirdness going on out there. You're in Kentucky, David. I see. My family was originally from Kentucky, Hazard County, by the way. Something taught Scratch how to see everything differently, like fields as in energy fields from everything you can see. Yep. I'm going back up too far. I don't have any idea where. Scratch says, apparently you can regain it by doing a few things, one being at least 2 weeks of no one else or nothing else. You need totally no distractions. Yeah, and that's really difficult to do, especially in these days. Hi, you Mary Wins, Michelle. Yeah, so there are some folks who would say, well, you're trying to be like Dante, or what he knows. No, I don't. I don't think I have any special connections, although there have been some synchronicities where it's sort of like, how do I put this? I'm not in the room when conversations are going on, but I'm like outside guarding it and I overhear some stuff. So it's like I'm not a participant with certain things, but I overhear stuff. So it's my I overheard this conversation from the angels, and I heard this and this and this, but then later on, this comes out as true, and that comes out, and that comes out, and that comes out, and I go, whoa, I wonder if this is true then. But, so anyway, but do I have an inside track? I think all of us have an inside track. It's our belief, it's our commitment, it's telling the angels, listen, okay, guys, you're the guys. I'm working on I'm with you, And you might say, well, I don't know if angels really exist or not, and that's a bunch of bullshit and blah 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 blah. Don't even try to convince them. It's not worth the effort. If they don't have the understanding that, well, I'm not sure if they, but I'm not sure if they exist. But I'm going to, in my belief system thingy that I had to 100.1%. I had to say, well, I don't know if they exist or not. That's a negative right out the door. So you have to say, well, it's possible. I'm not sure, but it's possible. And not being sure because you don't have proof, but you're open. So you leave yourself open to the possibility, but you're cautious and going, well, let me see how this turns out. But the things that do turn out, the things that do show themselves, good or bad, you can take that to the bank and go, some bitch, that was a true connection to with whomever I'm connected with. To me, it's my higher self, my guardian angel. So I'm going to stick with that, So it's that basic belief. It's the basic faith. It's the basic, anybody else tries to interfere with this or give me bad info, we're going to fight. So my intent to the universe, and that's not to say that I haven't had some things come across here in this last 6 months or so that was some bad intel. And I think there was some side influence going on, but recently things have calmed down in that respect because I sent a message upstairs and I said, y'all fix this or I ain't paying it. I'm not going to listen to any of y'all except the mother and, natural feelings, the earth kind of thing. Hawk when she screams, or owl in the backyard, or seeing the fox in the front yard the other day, or, So the things that nature shows us and gives us warnings or foretells things. Now, there are folks who want to know the future, and this is sort of an aside, but I would say this. If you see something that is in the future, it hasn't happened yet. And I've talked about some things, and I'm going to have to do a separate video about the horsemen and so forth, because I gotta do a little preparation on that. And horse showing up tonight is a reminder to me why I need to have this conversation about the horses, because that's a part of something else. But that's a whole separate video on itself. It's, but the idea that we are being spoken to in dreams and visions or apparitions or whatever, and some of us are seeing more or less, and some are having like, if you're, one of the reasons why I think the three of them ladies showed up in my house was because I was losing faith. And I just didn't have enough faith in myself. And that was like a 3-time, we're three of us are here to kick your butt. If you think you're in a tag team, there's 3 of us and 1 of you. We're going to win. So, but in that, the losing faith. So I haven't lost faith, because I just know it's there now, regardless of what it might look like. It might be crappy today with thunderstorms and high winds, and you can't do what you want to do, and the house is flooding with rainwater. And you go, what the hell? But tomorrow's sunny and nice and pleasant. You go, well, had to put up with the bad to accept the good. Sometimes it's stormy weather. It's like climate change. We live on a planet, on top of a planet that's always changing. Of course there's climate change. If the climate didn't change, we'd all be messed up then. But so, but climate change is caused by this. There's forest fires out there that are blanketing across. There's sandstorms in the Saharas. We got dust from Africa and smoke from California, and all the other stuff in between. But it's you and me. It's because cows fart. Come on, there were cows here before, but anyway. And other things that probably, dinosaur farts, goodness gracious me. And so, oh yeah, the dinosaurs is what created the oil. Then, no, they didn't. Oil was here. Mother Earth creates it. It's lubrication. And when they pump it out and replace it with water, that's not the same lubrication. And they can say what they will about fracking, but it is having an effect on the planet. Yes, it is. You don't suck out all the oil and replace it with water. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same viscosity. Are we changing the planet? Yes. And is Mother Nature pissed off about it? Yeah. And she's going to show some people too. Hang on. And one could say that those are the bad guys in that, because I don't agree with Trump on the fracking. I don't believe in the fracking thing, but they've got all this waste material that they don't want to spend to clean. And I worked with people in the industry who worked on filtering stuff, really nasty, crappy stuff. My friend Serge, who passed away, he was like the king of getting rid of nasty, and I mean nasty shit. And he'd make that water look, you could almost drink it straight out of when he got done with it. It had to go through another filter. But anyway, ozonators and stuff that years ago we were using and doing, that is just now starting to become popular. And it's been around for a long time, and he was experimenting with things on his own. But anyway, but the reason they're fracking is not that we need the oil so much, is that they've got all this wastewater. So it's not about the oil, it's about getting rid of toxic shit. And they're pumping it down into Mother Earth and using that as an excuse to frack the oil out. They ain't using clean water, trust me, because, that they're not. They're using wastewater. Because they can't store it, they could clean it, they don't want to. And here's the thing, there's all these heavy metals and there's all these stuff in it. If they would put their shit together and come up with, no matter what the cost, the heavy metals and the stuff that they could get out of this, out of the filtering, would eventually pay for itself. Eventually, but not at first. But the biggest thing is they would not be pumping this nasty shit into planet Earth. And so people, it's all about the oil. No, it ain't. It really isn't about the oil. It's about the waste product they're shoving down. That's what they're doing. And it's a cover-up. So, you know, them folks who are all for it, yeah, they may think it's just about the oil, but what, you know, we're just going to leave it at that. So, my friends, it's been 3 hours. I really do have a butt cramp. And I really do want to smoke a cigarette. And I really do want to let the dog out. I'm going to let my dog out. Who took my dog out? Roof, 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 roof. Michelle, weird energies abound. Yes, Mary wins. Happy belated. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, but I wasn't online yesterday. I know some folks on Facebook, and my dear friends, listen, I can't always log into Facebook. I can do a live stream easier than it is to log on to Facebook. So if I don't get your messages right away and people want to rely on, you know, well, I send it to you on Facebook, there's a lot of times I can't get on Facebook, but I can do a live stream on YouTube. I don't get it. Facebook just don't like my IP address or whatever, but it slows down, things get clogged, it literally locks my computers up, or my computer up, and has froze me out. And so, you know, it's easier for me to do a live stream than it is to, you know, anyway. So people say, well, did you check it out on Facebook? I might not have been able to get on for like a week or so, you know, and I will check now, but thank you for my belated birthday. And I'm 68 plus 1. 68 years and a day, you know. I figured it'd be better to celebrate the day after because I made it. I was, you know, 68 yesterday, but what good does it do if I can't live one more day? If I can't look back and go, man, I made it. Well, I made it yesterday, but I really made it today because this is plus 1. I know, I'm crazy, you know, but, you know, I'm looking at the plus part, you know. And you silent 72 out there, listen, it's more than 72 of us that are silent and working. But the idea of when you understand that the 72, what the 72 means in Dante's world and in the world of the angels, we're part of the football team, but there's 72 members of the like front line. And the rest of us, we're here, you know. Born in 1948, 50. I was born in 52, so, and I'm 68. So 48 would have been 4 years behind me. So that'd make you 72, 48, 50. Yeah, 68. Yeah, that'd make you David Castle. Good to see you. You can smoke anything you wish. It will not fracture my fragile sensibilities. Yeah, I know, but you know, smoking and doing this thing, the cigarette usually burns up when I want to inhale it all. No, I'm kidding, sort of. But I have been sitting in this chair and I have been talking for the last 5 hours, literally. So, oh, hey, Fox, how are you? Let's see. I wonder if you are an early awakened 72. No, I'm not 72. No, I'm talking about the 72 on Dante's channel and what 72 means. It's like 72 active angels, if you will. It's not exactly that, but so there are 72 active, you know, a lot of sideliners, a lot of other folks. And so in looking at what Dante has talked about, I came up with the silent 72. We're the ones that, We really would like to be a part, an active part, but, due to hip injuries and bad knees, we can't play like we used to, but we're willing and our heart's in the right place. So with that, and as far as the angels are concerned in the Karistus, so with that said, so there are a lot of us, we can't run 100 yards from one end of the field to the other, but we can take some water out when it's a break, because that's what I did when I broke my leg. I couldn't play football, so I became the manager for the football team. So I couldn't play, but I could run out even with my crutches and take them water and whatever. And so that's how I look at it. I may not be able to actively participate, but I'm still participating because I understand there are folks out there that are trying to keep the planet alive. Literally, the next 2 years are going to be some very key times, and you can all see it already coming. But several folks have warned about this 2017 to 2022, 2023. So these next 2 or 3 years are for the planet, for the universe, for UFOs, for all kinds of stuff. It is going to be strange. And the best thing is like just grab a handle onto some of it. But the Karistus, they've showed up in many spaceship kind of things. They've showed up as angels. They do exist. I feel that and believe that in my heart 100%. So, did Jesus come? Has he been there? But let's see. Back to your question, Fox. I wonder if I am an early awakened 72. And that's my point, Fox. You'll know if you were, because you will be contacted by folks who will tell you that you're part of the 72. But here's my thing. Whether I'm qualified to be a 72 or a little bit of jump in there. Whether I'm qualified to be a 72 or not, an active, I am always working for the cause. I'm working towards enlightenment and health and do no harm. So I may be sitting on the bench, but I'm rooting for this team. So whether or not we actually play in the game physically, for the, on the front line, as it were, or whether we're the on the sideline rooting for the guys that are, working on the front line, it's all important. So I'm part of the support group, and Fox, you would know if you were a working 72, but know that in your heart, if you want to be, then you are a part of the 72 plus. You're with the rest of us that wish we could, and maybe our time will come where we actually can be. But anything and everything that we do every single day can be an angel message. It can be, where we can be snotty, we can be snide, we can be greedy, or we can be the opposite of those things. And those are the Karistus values. Those are, you're working for the cause. You're working because you want things to be better. So if that's in your heart, and if that's what your intent is, regardless of race, creed, or religion, if you believe in the honesty of truth and justice and helping and so forth, you're a part of the 72 plus. Simply, you're also a part of the League of Like-Minded Beings. We all are a part of this. You were born in 72. Interesting. As in 1972? I guess that would be, because there hasn't been another 72. Duh. That was the year my daughter was born, Michelle. You and her are the same age. She was born in May of 72. So, yeah. But anyway, so the idea of the, God, I'm going to be repeating myself some more, but whether or not you see, I thought it was so important to be a 72. And then when in having my video posted on Dante's channel, I realized I'm too old to be on the front row, but I'm still got some in me. I can still be of value. Be of value, right? So by being of value, by doing videos and just helping people out, I'm still a part of the cause. I'm working for the good side. I hope, I think, I believe it. So whether or not we are actually part of the main group, we're the support group. And if you believe that, then that's it. You don't have to have any more. You don't have to be a 72. I'm already part of the team, you know. I'm already have stated I'm a warrior and I'm going to fight for the cause. I'm already. So does it matter if I'm on the front line or if I'm sitting on the bench in case they need me? Doesn't matter. It understand more. It's a bigger situation. But anyway, yeah, really bad butt cramp and back. Who let the dogs out? Yeah, Michelle. So anyway, Fox, you're a member of the 72 plus, and whether you get called off the bench, that remains to be seen. But know that you're already doing something. Everything that you do every single day is a reflection on whether or not you are an angel. Are you being kind to people? So if you want to be a 72, it's practice. Every day is a practice. So are you going to be a 72, or are you going to be, well, I'll do it when I want to, and I want to feel part of the group? Or are you actually going to say 100.1%, I'm working for them. I'm working for the angels. I'm working for the cause. I'm working for against the evil ones. I'm for the good guys, and I'm going to every single day. I am a warrior. I'm going to fight against this, and even if it takes my life, because the situation might arise where you might have to take a bullet for somebody in so many ways. So it's up to you. It's always up to us. That's the free will of the world. So Michelle, Cosmic Hugs, everybody. Fox, it's good that you're around and want to be a 72, and have patience. Be a part of the group and know that you already are a part of the group. That's one of the biggest things. What is this? I touched something. Right on then. I know that my life will be a testament to honor the word and love the world. I will be everything they need me to be. Yeah, every day. And just, I don't even think about it anymore. I mean, it used to be like, it was my prayer. But now that it has become a way of life, it is my prayer. So from the Catholics, and talking with some of the monks from way back when, they would say, you wake up in the morning and the whole day is a prayer. So if you walk the earth as a monk, and if you're planting, or if you're praying, or you're meditating, or you're helping somebody across the street, that your whole day is a prayer. So it's not that you have to pray every day. It's that you donate. You say ahead of time, tomorrow my whole day is going to be, and it doesn't mean that you have to pray all the time. It just says I'm dedicating my life to the good, and that's my prayer for tomorrow, and I'm going to live it. I'm going to be it as much as I can. If I get angry, I'm going to only be angry for a minute, and then I'm going to get on with it. I'm going to try to think of the higher things, and I'm going to try to stay out of the chaos. So these are that core value that keeps you grounded, and that keeps you in the state of love and understanding. So, and it keeps you connected. So rise above. Good night, Hawkeye and friends. Thank you. I didn't even know you were there. Hi, Rise Above. It's good to see you, and blessings. Yeah, I'm getting off of here too. I am really tired, and it's only 2:10 a.m. I started early tonight. Yes, and one of the things too and living your life and honoring, to just look up at the sky and say thank you for all those folks up there that are working for us. Just say thank you. You don't have to know who they are. They're listening. When you say thank you, well, is it the creator? Is it angels? You just say thank you to the good guys. Just whoever, good guys, gals, folks, thank you. 111. Thank you all. Love. Yeah, Michelle, sorry I'm commenting sparsely as I listen. I'm still running after my toddler. Oh, that's okay, Michelle. You don't have to, The participation is of the mind as well. So, but anyway, so my friends, thank you so much. Have a great weekend with Saturday upon us now. The weather's cooling down a little bit for us down here in the South, which, man, it was a blessing, I'll tell you. I got one of my birthday wishes that cool weather would come in. Yay, team! You know. And if you also noticed, we sent Prague to the Northwest about a week or 10 days ago, by the way, for those of you who are in on that. We sent Prague, which was rain and, you know, so forth. And the front started moving into Washington. And now they're talking about maybe having too much rain and coming down into Oregon. So did our prayers work? It's just interesting. Like 2 days after we sent Prague out there with our intention, we started seeing rain coming into the Pacific Northwest. Cheers, folks. Does it really work? Don't know. Don't care. You know, the fact that we did it, we put our intent in it, and it showed up a couple days later. I was like, now that's one. Can we put that in our list of, you know, of good ones? Ooh, that worked. You know, so we can question whether or not our intent is good. We can question these things, but I don't know. I looked at it 2 days later after we did that thing with the frog, and I went, now, is Creator listening to us or not? You know, and there was only like 10 or 12, maybe 15, and so whoever. But the fact that we sent our wishes and our intent for them to just get rain. Nothing special, just get some rain. We're going to send frog out there. And, you know, you could say, did the universe hear us? Don't know. Well, I want to say tee-hee-hee. I think so. But anyway, so good night, Oakland. Good night, everybody. Good morning to a lot of folks, too. Have a great weekend. And as I always say, and I do consider every single one of you blessed beings on this planet. If you're trying to make it better, then you're on my side, as you know. So thank you so much for your participation always. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And as the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relations, and all of your relatives, and all of your acquaintances, that you will learn to accept, receive, and continue to share the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And remember this, my friends, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So you can tell people about your experiences, but if they just poo-poo you, then don't worry about it. If you show the horse the water, it's up to him to drink. So, or her. So the idea, though, that it's important that we show them the water, but it's free will that says it's whether or not they will drink of the knowledge. So there you go. A little bit of, and we pulled horse tonight too. That's for another discussion. That's going to be its own separate video. So it'll be coming up soon. It needs to be, because I pulled the horse card, which was, to me, you were going to do this and you didn't do it, so now I have to do it. But it's important. It's a vision that I had several years ago about horse, about the four horsemen, about the apocalypse, if you will, and also though about the trading, and so anyway, there's been some new information come my way that I need to relate to you all as well. And whether or not you find it appropriate, or, you know, anyway, but they're asking me, and horse card showed up again. So I need, that's a kick in the rear for me. So, but anyway, stay calm, stay blessed, keep it together. All right. And don't let these damn fools annoy you, even though they annoy us, but we got to be calm about it. So keep up the good work, my friends. And until next time, I promise that there's going to be the the vision story of the horses. So that'll be coming up soon. So be safe, everybody. As I always say, TTFN. Can't wait for that video, David. Yeah, Fox. It's us. And here's the thing: I've seen some of these things that were in that vision actually come true, and that's some scary shit when you see it come true. So, so be careful about wishing, about seeing the future or what's going to happen, because the other thing is there are circumstances, and understand this, there are circumstances that can come up that you can change what happens. So if you see future events, you go, well, that's going to happen for sure. Then if you keep focusing on that's going to happen for sure, then it might happen that way for sure. So let's not manifest negative things. So if we see things, that's why I try not to talk about some of this stuff, because I don't want to manifest it. But the horse keeps coming up, and there's other things that have come up about it, and it's like, So it needs to be it needs to be discussed. You're welcome, Deborah. It's good to see you as well. Everybody in there. I know there's 12 of you there, and some of you hiding. You don't have to raise your hand, but I love you all. Thank you. From South Georgia, it's TTFN. It's ta-ta for now. My fellow hillbillies and swamp billies and crazy people of the world. We love you. Be safe. Until next time. Yep. Cheers. Bye, everybody. Sweet dreams.